Well, greetings everyone, and welcome once again to another Wednesday night right here on the Sports Crib. Let's get our little commercial business out of the way here. As you can see on the bottom, you can subscribe and donate right here on YouTube to our channel, and all proceeds go to the Sports Crib and to our various contests, especially our fantasy football. The gold shirt, and we hope that you will join us on the program. In the meantime, let's hurry up and get this program started because I might be seeing a ghost here, and I want to get him up before he disappears. There he is. All right.
Mr. King, how you doing
today? I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good. My baseball team's in the playoffs. My football team's doing well. I'm good.
Yeah, I know it. And there's Dave. How are you doing tonight, Dave?
Hey, I'm doing okay.
Yeah, glad everybody was able to get the link, and we're all here and ready to go. I know Mr. Scott will be sneaking in at some point, so we can expect that. But things seem to be going well in Detroit, but they're also not too bad in Pitt on some things. The Pirates we'll kind of like just hold our breath with the pitching staff there, but Dave, do we have a Sue's Corner tonight?
No, not tonight. Unfortunately, she didn't have anything, but she said next week, stand by. So
okay.
she'll be back next week.
All right, okay. Well, if that's the case, then let's talk a little baseball here. We don't get much of a chance to talk baseball except when Demetrius is here, of course, or I think he might be stopping by. So I kind of make sure that he has his specialty sitting out here waiting for him. I kind of tee it up, but I don't really have to this time because it seems like the Tigers made the playoffs, or at least you called up your young pitching prospect. What's his name?
Jackson Jobe. We just called up.
Yeah. For your wild card run. How are things looking there, Reg?
It's that's fine. Shout out to Reg wherever he is. It's actually, I'm biased, but it's a pretty amazing story, right? Because August 11th, we were 10 games out. We were sitting at 55 and 63 a couple of weeks after the deadline, where we traded, honestly, 5 of our top 7 or 8 guys, some guys to get prospects back. So the idea was we're prepping for next year. And then they just called up all the kids and they just came up and started playing baseball like we used to do when we were 7 or 8. And they're just out there having fun. And they've got the best record in all of baseball since August 11th. They're finishing off Tampa right now to continue to hold one of the playoff spots. And with 4 games left after the night, 3 of them against the White Sox, historically bad White Sox. I'm not trying to be too counting the chickens before they hatch, but it's looking good. But it's more just even if something happens and they don't make it, it's the story of the last 6 weeks and what they've done is historic. It's like a once in a 50-year type thing. They're like 30 and 11 or 29 and 11 since August 11th. That's just, and the how they're doing it is what's remarkable. They traded their second best pitcher. They've called up all the kids, like anybody playing well in AAA or not. Everybody, come on up, right? And these guys are just out here finding ways to win games. He's doing this. He is AJ Hinch, the manager, doing this untraditional starting bullpen pitchers at games, and a reliever will pitch 2 innings, and another reliever will pitch 2 innings, right? Oh, by the way, we might have the Cy Young Award winner at the top with Tarek Skubal. So it is the way they're doing it. The best analogy is they're actually the Lions 2 years ago when the Lions were 9-8 and they went to Lambeau. They needed, I think, the Rams to win earlier in the day, and the Rams didn't win. So they went to Lambeau for a Sunday night game with nothing to play for except to keep Green Bay and that old bastard that's in New York now out of the playoffs. And they went and won that game. And that was a catapult to last year's 12-5 NFC Championship team, which I believe was a catapult to whatever this year's going to be. It is fun. It is, I love baseball. And right now, the last week of baseball, my team is playing meaningful games. Like, I've got it over here on the screen. I apologize. If you see me doing this, that's what's happening, right? The game's in hand and it's almost over. But something about your team being in a chase, it's special. I love football. The Lions are, how I feel about the Lions. Something about baseball, though, man. And this team wasn't supposed to be here doing what they're doing right now. And they may go into the playoffs and get swept, and it won't matter. I don't care. It's baseball. It's different. I got to check the Twins game. I got to find out what the Royals are doing. It's one of the reasons we love sports, and it's just exciting. It's exciting for the city of Detroit. We got these games, and then the Lions don't play Sunday, the last game of the season, which might be meaningful. They play Monday night, and then the Tigers might be in, say, Houston, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the baseball playoffs. The next 10 days could be crazy. So it's exciting, and obviously I'm excited. I'm not rocking the Lions shirt tonight. I'm going with the Tigers. I shot time there. Dave looked like he was okay with me waxing poetic about my baseball team. So I went a little long. I pulled a Bill Carroll, but it's a special thing right now with this baseball team in Detroit. So I appreciate it.
Well, we know we didn't have Bo tonight, so since you took up the time for the Mariners because they made the playoffs too, in spite of Bo's dismal. Bo was really down on him.
He was.
But Don, how are you doing this evening? Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm good.
Yeah, everything all right. So we got you on the first try. What's happening down there in Texas? Usually it's the Rangers and the Astros. Well, your Astros came through, but I don't know about them Rangers. They're out, aren't they?
Yeah, they're suffering a little bit. Astros are playing good. They're they're pretty solid. They're in good pole position, I think. I don't know if they're going to win it all, but they're fun to watch.
Okay. And us guys that follow the Pirates, I guess we can just observe. But how did our two pitching prospects end up so far there, Dave?
Well, Gaines has pushed his ERA down to under 2.0. I think he's like 1.99. He's 11-3. They have 5 more games. Actually, they're playing now. I think they're up 3-2 tonight. But they have to go 3-2 in these last 5 games in order to match last season's record. And, very disappointing. And in my final thoughts, I'll be talking a little bit more about the Pirates, about a really personnel move that they did that caused a little bit of grief among the Pirate fans.
Ooh, that's called a teaser, everybody. That's called a teaser. That's stick your ass around for 2 hours and wait for that.
Hopefully Jeffrey Fan will be joining us when we start talking NCAA football. But let's there's this amazing guy, and we talked about him. I think at first we were worried, was he going to make the 50-50 club? Well, seems like he's established his own club. Right now it's 52-52. So, Don, what do you think what do you predict his record is going to be at the end of the season? I think he has 5 more games left?
Yeah. He's got 52 homers, 52 stolen bases right now with 5 games left. 5 games left to play. Yep.
Yeah. So what do you think he finishes at, Don?
Do I get to do my Don impersonation now? My Don impersonation. Well, no. Okay. I'll jump in until we get.
Go ahead, Demetrius.
I think he'll get a couple more homers. I'm going to say 54 and 56 because I think he'll steal more bases than he'll get homers in the last 5 games. So I'm going to give him 2 more homers and 4 more stolen bases.
What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I think he's actually at 53 homers and 55 stolen bases now.
Oh, really?
Oh my goodness!
Oh, he had like a 3-run homer game, I think, the other day. I thought.
Well,
the 3 homer game got him to 52, but he might have had.
Okay, that got him to 52, but I think he got another one because I think he's at 53 and 55.
Yeah.
So he's going for the 60-60 club. But I don't think
60-60 is crazy. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, well, if he had a couple games where he had multiple home runs, it's conceivable. I think he's going to go. I think I had him at 50. Was it 54 and 51? I can't remember what my original prediction was, but he's blown that out.
Yeah, he's blown that out of the water. Yeah.
So I'm going to say maybe 56 and 57.
What about 57, 57? What about
Could be.
It would be crazy if he just matched them up. That'd just be crazy. That'd be crazy.
Don, what do you think?
He wants.
What do you think, Don? How many does Ohtani end up with?
I think I have 58.
Ooh, 58 homers?
58 homers or 58 stolen bases or both? Yeah. 58 stolen bases too, or what? How many stolen bases?
I think stolen bases.
Okay.
How many?
I think 58.
And 58 homers?
Sounds about
58
right.
and 58 would be impressive. That would be
59.
And actually, it's achievable.
Whoa, Don said 59.
59 homers and 58 stolen bases.
Wow.
He might as well go for 60-60, like Dave said. If you're that close on the last day, man, I'm swinging for the fences, and don't let me get on base. I'm stealing third. I'm stealing home.
I'm not going 60. I'm not going that far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing is if they cool him off for the next round here.
Yeah.
But if he had 61, isn't that Roger Maris's record?
Oh no, that's been shattered multiple times.
Yeah, but I'm saying, I mean,
he would match Roger Maris.
He would match Maris.
Yeah, but I'm saying, to match Roger Maris in home runs, and how close is he to what's the man used to play on the Cardinals? Ozzie?
No, Willie? Willie.
No, Ozzie Newsome. Was it Ozzie Newsome that used to play for them? Stole bases.
Ozzie Smith is who you're thinking about.
Ozzie Smith,
the shortstop. I don't think he holds the stolen base record for a season. I feel like Ricky might have that.
I think Ricky holds it for the season.
Like Ricky probably has that.
Yeah, I think Ricky holds it. I'm definitely for the season.
Yeah, it's impressive no matter where he ends up. It is phenomenal if you think about the skill set. And that's really what you're talking about. We've never seen anybody. And oh, by the way, if his elbow was okay, he'd probably have 15 wins on the mound, right? It's scary, the completeness of this guy's skill set.
Now, do you think that perhaps since we saw him perform like that this season, because remember now, he's stealing bases, so most pitchers don't do that.
Right.
So I mean, do you think it's possible next year that he's going to pitch also, or will they keep him in this role now that you have him and Mookie together? Yeah. Mookie's back.
I think he's too good, and most of the time, an effective Tommy John surgery actually makes your elbow stronger. Like if you rehab it correctly, you're not susceptible. There's no second Tommy Johns generally. Generally, once a guy has a successful one, his elbow's solid. And I would imagine I would put him on the mound. They paid him what they paid him because they intended for him to do both jobs after the surgery. So I think he will absolutely pitch next year.
Well, I thought that, I mean, the pitch and the hit, yes, but the pitch, hit, and steal bases.
If you can, why not?
No, I mean, yeah.
I like him stealing bases. I don't care if he's a pitcher. Put on one of those gloves, put on a jacket like the pitchers used to do when they get on base, and go for it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, this guy has definitely revolutionized the game. I will admit, he's not the first Japanese player that we've had over here, but I think he's definitely, we have to say, he's the best.
Most complete for sure.
So
who's comparable to him? I mean, you've had people that were good pitchers, but then shifted to become a fielder and batter. But I've never seen it where in one season a player do both. I mean, I think he's incomparable.
There's no comp. Babe Ruth didn't steal bases. That's the thing. There's no comp that we know of that we ever saw. It just doesn't.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, it's like I said, just if you're a baseball aficionado, even if you just like the Dodgers, I mean the guy's phenomenal to watch. So yeah, I'm definitely with you. But now we have another record that's being broken. And what do you think that this is going to end at? What are we, 120? I think we're at 122.
You're 122, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So how far does this streak go, Demetrius?
Because they played the Tigers the last 3 games, I hope it's 125. Right? I'm not going to be biased here. I want us to sweep them this weekend and let them have 125 or 126. That's almost as tough to do as what Ohtani's doing. Because baseball is a game where you just get lucky sometimes. Sometimes you just have a couple of guys get hot. What the White Sox have done, and I don't feel necessarily good about it, except I need these 3 wins coming up, is historically bad. But the Tigers were there back in, I want to say 05 or something like that. So I remember what that was like. Your summer is ruined. Mid-April, we're going to suck for the next 6 months. And if you're a sports fan or a baseball fan, it ruins your whole summer. And so I feel bad for White Sox fans. But yeah, I think they end up 124, 125. Yeah, which is, historically bad. It's once in 100 year kind of thing. So that's not good.
Don, how many games do you think the White Sox are going to lose? They're at 122 right now.
Oh, who knows? By the way, I'm no longer on my computer. I'm using my phone.
Okay.
I said FUCK that computer. I'm on my phone. So if I seem a little bit different, my head's tilted different because I'm holding.
Oh yeah.
I'm actually able to recline on my recliner a little bit further.
I see. You look more comfortable. Yeah, you do look
I am more comfortable.
To be honest with you.
A lot less frustrated. So they've lost 120. You said 121, right?
122 now with 4 left. I think they might be tied right now. By the way,
I think they're good to lose half of those 4. I say go 2-2 final 4 games.
So you'll make you say 124. Demetrius says 125. Out of a sweep for the Tigers. So what do you say, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, 124, 125. I mean, they're going to lose at least a couple of these games, and
you think?
It's I mean, this is worse than any Pirates team. Wow, it's just shocking. Really. And the thing is like, at least in some other sports, you kind of gain a bigger advantage in like the draft with the NFL. Now they'll gain an advantage in the baseball draft, but that's not the same as the NFL draft. I don't think so.
Does
Yeah,
baseball have a
they're just
lottery?
bad. What's that?
No.
Does
Worst team.
baseball have a lottery?
No. They draft worst team first.
Okay.
Yeah. Baseball,
But I don't think it's as much
really different.
advantage like the NFL.
Yeah, the first round draft pick in baseball, he's still not going to be up for, I don't know, 3 years maybe. I mean, if you're lucky, maybe sooner. But if you draft a high school kid, you draft and develop. So it's not similar to NFL or even NBA. Those guys take time to cook down in the minors.
Well, hey, it's historic. I mean, I've seen some bad back in the day, the Indians teams. I remember, but that was Grandpa's team. We'd go up and watch the Indians get beat up, and at that time, the Pirates were my uncle's team. And the Pirates, had Stargell and the boys, so the Pirates were doing good, but the Indians were historically bad back then.
That is a straight up dichotomy. Those late 70s Pirates teams were some of the best in the history of baseball. And those 70s Indians teams were 17 people in the stands watching at a horrific stadium, by the way. That was not a place to go watch a baseball game.
No, but back in the day, it was a Cadillac.
Tickets were cheap. Tickets were cheap.
Hey, and you could get a beer for a quarter and a hot dog for you get 2 hot dogs for 50 cents. So, was it $5 for $1?
Yeah. And back then, you complained of inflation. You said, this is too much for a hot dog. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Little did we know.
I remember you complained about gas at 29 cents. Tell them my age now for real, guys. Oh, man. Demetrius, has there been any movement since the last time you were here on the integration of the Negro League stats?
Yes. Yes. They adopted that a while ago. It's going to take time for them to go through. And the challenge was then you just didn't have documentation. So right now what they have is some guy with a box in the basement with old school scorecards. All of us know what a scorecard is, right? This is the stuff that they've got a staff of people going through to accumulate what some guy's batting average was in 1994 as they barnstorm. So it's a process, but they've acquired it. They have an agreement. The museum in Kansas City is putting all this together, and some they have announced what they know they've already integrated. They're not going to go through a change. There are guys like Double Duty Radcliffe whose numbers would be obscene, but he was playing a lot of games, and the seasons weren't as accurate. So if they played 120 games versus 140, it's tough to do all that. But what they have, they've already added quite a bit in, and they're going to add more. And I think the more information they get, and they get it into the database, it'll kind of be incorporated within. And I think the reality is there'll be no major shifts. The guys who should be acknowledged, we already know who they are. We know who Josh Gibson is. We know who Satchel Paige is. We know those guys, but their numbers will be a little more accurate in the museum and in the Hall of Fame. I don't think you're going to see any records change because, some of that stuff is just notes on napkins, like literally notes on napkins. He stole 5 bases today, right? So that part is tough, but they're going through it. They're putting it together, and it's but the major leagues have already agreed. If they can validate real data, they want that stuff incorporated into the information. Maybe not so much there's no quote unquote record book. This is information, and what they have, and it's all subjective anyway. So.
Demetrius, what'd be interesting to compare is like Jackie Robinson's Negro League stats versus his Major League stats.
Yeah.
What was he? Was he putting up similar stats in both leagues, or is he a little bit better in the major, a little bit better than Negro?
He was better in the majors because he was a more mature player. Some of those games, though, they played 5 games in 2 days. So he was facing a pitcher who had thrown three games in 2 days, and I don't know how you weight that and adjust that. It's not a reflection of the talent. It's really those Barnstorms. Those guys used to just jam in games, right?
Yeah.
But in his prime years, he was already in the bigs. He was good. He was good in 45 and 46 in particular. He was very good. But when he got to Brooklyn, they let him loose in terms of everything, from stealing bases to his defense. His prime years were in Brooklyn, maybe in LA. So he really took off around. He won Rookie of the Year in 47. He took off 48, 49, probably 50 and 51. Prime Jackie. So he was actually much better as a major leaguer because of his age mostly. Satchel was the opposite. Satchel's got numbers in the Negro leagues we wouldn't fathom, we couldn't believe. And by the time he got to the majors, he was, depending on who you believe, he was either 45 or he was 51, but he lied about his age, so we don't even know. Some people said he was 50 when he got to Cleveland. I think he claimed he was 43 or 44.
Yeah.
So, with Jackie, it was definitely his major league numbers were unreal. His major league numbers were really good.
Well, guys, let's get into a little football here, a little college football first. And there was a couple of interesting stories, but I'm going to start out with Reggie Bush. Because Reggie Bush is now suing USC, the NCAA, and the Pac-12 for NIL compensation. He says, you made so much money off of me, I want some of that money back. Demetrius, I'm thinking, like snowball, but what's your thoughts?
I'm going to be honest, guys. I want to cede my time to Dave on this. I don't get this. He is saying that because you changed the rules 20 years after I played, had those rules been in place when I played, I would have gotten money. Ipso facto, you owe me that money? Is that what he's saying? Because I don't think it works that way. And I'm granting up front, I might not get this. Because I got a case against a couple people because I'm a lot smarter now. And if I could take what I know now, but those were the rules in place back then. So my shorter, more serious answer is he did not lose anything because the rules that were in place at that time did not allow him to do that. The idea that, had there been NIL back then, I would have been rich. So what? I think you played 10 years in the NFL. Aren't you rich anyway? What do we? And if you guys tell me I don't get it, I will accept that because I might not. I'm going to be honest. I don't know what his case is. Who's the lawyer taking this case? Where's the court that's going to hear this case? Because I don't understand what's the ask.
That's why it's my question, because I'm like, there is no Pac-12.
Right. Who's he suing to school?
So
Utah State now? What? I'm going to defer to Dave. Dave probably knows more about it than me. I don't know what this is.
Go ahead, Dave. Yeah,
well, I mean, I think that the Pac-12 actually has money that they haven't spent all the money yet because there was some of the TV revenues. But I think what this does is there were already 3 antitrust suits where the NCAA agreed to pay, like they were going to settle for like $2.8 billion. And some of that money would go to players from the Big 5 conferences.
Okay.
And so what this does, and I think that court case came, it was back in May. And so now it hasn't completed the process yet. But the NCAA has agreed to pay like $2.8 billion to former players from the Big 5.
Okay.
So now what this does is this is just kind of like an add-on of, okay, well, now what about the Pac-12 players? And I guess, and that's why he's including USC, the NCAA, and Pac-12, all 3 of them. You're going to sue everybody, and then whoever has the pockets
Gotcha.
That's whose money that you go after.
So there's an agreement in place already, and he was boxed out of that because it's not a Power 5 school.
So,
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
So is Archie Griffin getting ready to get some money?
He might, yeah, he might under this this other settlement. And I mean, personally, I mean, I never agreed. Like whenever the Ohio State guys got sanctioned for, I think it was like tattoos that they got paid for, something ridiculous. Which, and now the NCAA is paying the Reaper, and it's kind of like I'm not a big fan of it. It's a big money grab as far as I'm concerned. But hey, they settled a lawsuit. They set a precedent. And so, if I'm a former player in any other conference that's not included in the Pac-12, why not sue?
Yeah.
And Reggie Bush, he left the Fox News. I guess he figured this is more lucrative.
Yeah.
Don, do we have some players in Texas gearing up?
Oh well, yeah. If this actually goes through, I mean, come on now. I mean, Ricky Williams, Vince Young, Roy Williams.
They will be a part of the original group, right? Because I have to imagine Texas would have been in the first case.
Oh yeah, Colt McCoy, Jordan Shipley, Brian Roccapo.
This sounds like the definition of Pandora's box.
Yeah. So my first thought when that came out is that, damn, Reggie Bush is broke already. He spent all his NFL money. That's the first thing that came to my head.
I hope that's not the case, but it could be.
Jeffrey, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good.
Hey, Jeffrey, good to see you again.
Yeah, hi everyone.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Yeah, Jeffrey, we were talking about Reggie Bush's suit here against the NCAA, the Pac-12, and everybody else for NIL money. There got to be some guys in ACC thinking about, whoa, let me see what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard of anything at the moment, but I wouldn't be surprised. It's basically a legal free-for-all in the college athletics now. Right. You sue, I sue, my conference sues, my team sues, everybody sues.
Well, speaking of this kind of related, I guess the UNLV quarterback, he's requested to go into the draft portal.
Yep.
And he put him on the map the first couple games, and then I guess he was unhappy with the way he was being paid, and he goes, "Okay, I don't want to play for you anymore. I'm in the portal. I'm out."
$100,000 can do that to you. $100K you didn't get that you were promised can make you do stuff like that, right?
Yeah, but now I don't know how that is going to impact him whenever the draft comes. Because NFL teams might look on that differently. He
runs a 4.38, they won't care.
Yeah. So speaking of suits, Jeffrey, what's going on in the ACC?
Yeah, how's that shaking out?
Yeah, there's pretty much been not a whole bunch of progress on it, to be honest. They're just going Florida State and Clemson and the ACC. They're basically just fighting for jurisdiction. We're 8 months into this, and we're really not that close to a resolution legally. But the interesting news that came out last week was that, according to ESPN, Clemson and Florida State put a proposal together to stay in the ACC. So that's really where it is right now. The legal battle is just kind of treading water, and it's still in a very early stage. So I don't think you're going to see a lot of resolution there. But the proposal to stay in the conference with a reduced grant of rights from the year 2036 to 2030, and also using television media valuations calculations somehow to give more to the brands that have the higher media value, is what's on the table now. It was in front of the ACC presidents, it sounds like. my expectation is they're going to reject the initial proposal, but I don't think it'll be totally rejected. I would not be shocked if they come back with something where the grant of rights could be reduced a couple of years, but not go 2030. Maybe add a couple more years to 2032, 23, and maybe they do a restructure of the media valuations. But there's definitely some movement that would have Clemson and Florida State in the ACC at least until the 2030 season. So I mean, there's a lot of moving parts out there. We don't even know if this could completely fall through, but I don't think you're really seeing a whole bunch of movement legally right now that the grant of rights would be invalidated or that it's a slam dunk for the ACC to win. So they might just come to a compromise that sees those two teams programs stay in the league for a while longer.
Well, I guess my next question to you, Jeffrey, do you think that there'll still be an ACC in 2030?
I do think there'll be an ACC. What form it looks like is definitely an open question. It could be in 2030 with what I've just said, where it looks pretty much the way it looks now in 2030. Now I don't know if that might be the departure date, but I would put the odds at the moment at least at 50-50 that that they're going to remain in the conference through some kind of compromise. And I do expect there will be an ACC, because no matter what happens, not every program in the conference is going to have a Power 2 home. They're not going to, the Big 12, or sorry, the Big 10 and the SEC are just not going to keep expanding and expanding and expanding and having more mouths to feed. I think at the end of the day, you'll see them add maybe 2-3 programs each max. Notre Dame is going to end up as one of those, and then you're going to be left with 12 or 13, maybe as many as 14 ACC schools that I believe will likely kind of remain in the conference. I don't see them going to the Big 12 either. It would take a total implosion of the league for that to happen. So I think you'll see an ACC in 2030 and 50-50 that it remains the way it is now.
Don, what do you think about that?
Well, I've noticed that there's a trend of schools that used to be what they call the FCS schools that are becoming Division I now, and I mean, after that thrashing that James Madison put on North Carolina, I'm thinking maybe one of those schools might move up to ACC. I don't know. Jeffrey probably has a better understanding that than I do, but I know that like in the SEC, Texas A&M has rumored looking in the Big Ten because they're still pissed at Texas being the SEC. So I think there's room for movement, but I don't think you're going to see. I don't think you're going to see conferences add too many more teams because there's just not that many teams to go around. But I always thought there'd probably be like the NFL have an American Conference, National Conference. They have divisions within that. That would be, to me, feasible. But I'm old school. I like the conference system as it is. But there will have to be some change eventually because you can't keep adding schools. I mean, there's a breaking point.
Well, hey, Demetrius, we got the Pac-20. I mean, the big.
Right.
What are we, the Big 20 or?
Yeah, we're the Big 18 now. I'm going to disagree with the guys.
Well, the ACC has 17 teams now.
Right. I'm going to disagree with the guys. I don't know anything. It's just my opinion. But Don just tapped on it. I think both of those conferences are going to have 24 teams in 3 years, and they're going to break up into probably 3 divisions each with 8 teams in each division. And I think it'll be geographically, it'll fundamentally be the old conferences. The Big 18, which will soon be the Big 20, because that 18 number isn't round enough. And they'll just go to 24, and it'll make sense. You can have a West Coast where you can go back to Washington and USC and UCLA and Oregon. What was essentially a version of the Pac-12 will just be Big Ten West. And there'll be Big Ten Central and Big Ten East. And we'll cherry pick the ACC, maybe, or maybe the SEC beats. I want, for Jeffrey's sake, because I like him, for there to be an ACC in 4 years. I think the ACC, some of those teams will be part of the SEC East, and some of those teams will be a part of the Big Ten East. And I think both of those conferences will have 24 teams. It'll be a model similar to what Don just said. It'll be AFC and NFC. And from those groups, 10 of the 12 teams in the playoffs will come from there. 6 division winners, next 4 at large, and then you'll leave 2 spots for random non-Big Ten SEC teams. But Notre Dame gets swallowed up. Those couple of teams out west that are still viable become Big Ten West. I think SEC has an East, West, South, or some combination. And there's 5 or 6 teams in the SEC that end up in one of those 2 conferences. We've opened this can of worms already. It's too late. It's too late. The can of worms is open. There's no going back to a Power 5. It's not. It's Power 2 right now. And then everybody else fall in line. This year, what's the over-under on how many of the 12 teams are Big Ten and SEC? I'm literally asking. What do you guys think? The 12 teams that make the playoffs, 8, we think, will come from those 2 conferences?
Basically that's kind of the way it's set up.
So if you're in a different conference, what's the incentive to stay in another conference? If those 2 conferences have 8 or 9 of the 12 spots locked up every year, why would you stay in some other conference? If they invite you, you go in. Your TV money goes up. Your split goes up. If you're one of those conferences and you go from Big 18 to Big 24, TV money goes up. You get better matchups. You get. It's better for recruiting. To me, it's the can of worms is open, and I think the number is 24. Those 2 conferences, 24. 10 of the spots go to them, and then two outside of that.
I wanted to ask Jeff. What does California and Stanford think of all this? They've just come into the ACC, and what do they stand? Where do they stand with this?
They're just happy they're not in the Pac-12. That's I mean, that really, you see Oregon State and Washington State, trying to legitimize their league and, getting turned down by schools from the American. Now they're in this legal fight with the Mountain West. And, I don't know, what the future will look like in 10 years from now. And even with in 2030 with a potential compromise, at least until that point, likely. But I think for right now, or, at least 50-50, I think at this point. But at the moment, Cal and Stanford, they have a P4 home. There's a home for Stanford's Olympic sports playing at the highest level. The ACC is probably the best Olympic sports conference, out there right now. So they have a place for their athletes in that sport. Cal, they went down into Auburn, won that game. That kind of endeared themselves to ACC fans. They've been all over social media. So, I mean, I think they have an eye on, what could happen, 4 or 5 years down the road. But I think, like, right now at this moment, they're like, hey, we're in the ACC. Our current student athletes are able to compete at the highest level at every sport they're in. And, they're looking at it like, at least we're not in the Pac-12 right now trying to cobble together a league with Washington State and Oregon State, who, I mean, it's a shame what happened to them. Those were legitimate athletic departments that had success in recent years. I think Oregon State was in the top 15 last year in football. And, we know about Stanford's Olympic sports. Oregon State had an Elite 8 basketball team not too many years ago, a national championship in baseball. So these were legitimate athletic programs, that are just, fighting for their lives now.
Yeah. Everybody's fighting for that money. But Jeffrey, Let's talk a little bit about the ACC football. Like, we mentioned North Carolina. You mentioned California. You know, North Carolina, we kind of used to seeing, I guess what is the aftermath of Drake May?
Yeah, that North Carolina was kind of teetering there. They started the year with a win at Minnesota, but they lost their quarterback Johnson to a leg injury, and they're down to their third string quarterback. But you think they could get by James Madison and still start the year 4-0, and I mean that was just a complete defensive debacle in that game. It might be one of the very worst P4 defensive performances we've seen in a decade. I mean, James Madison ran up over 600 yards in that game, 70 points, had over 50 by halftime, and their defensive coordinator is Jeff Collins, and we know what he did at Georgia Tech. He ran Georgia Tech straight into the ground while he was there, and I think Mac Brown really took a flyer on him to try to take a defense that was already pretty suspect, and somehow he managed to make it worse. And I think North Carolina's in a lot of trouble. They're in a lot of trouble. But
Is
they're
this Mac Brown's ride off into the sunset?
I think it really potentially could be. It was that bad. I mean, for a team that's 3-1, you would say, maybe it was just a bad game, but it was so bad on so many levels across the board. You were almost in disbelief watching it. I mean, you weren't sure if it was they were playing James Madison, or playing Alabama's peak Nick Saban teams or something. I mean, they just went up and down the field over and over again in that first 30 minutes of the game. And we know North Carolina has reasonable talent. It's not a team full of 5 stars, but they have reasonable talent, and they just had absolutely no idea what was going on. That's a program that's in a lot of trouble for the rest of the season, and it could very well spell the end of Mac Barron's tenure there. But there are other programs in the ACC that have definitely surprised in a positive way. Um, Pittsburgh is a team 4-0, has 2 P4 wins, beat Cincinnati, beat West Virginia. The quarterback Holstein has been really good so far this year. I don't know if you can really trust them yet defensively, but I mean they're a team that's definitely surprised. Boston College, sorry, they had the win over Michigan State the other night, but that was a really.
I knew you were going to mention it. It's okay.
I'm sorry, but that was a huge win because I do think Michigan State's a solid football team, and it was a sellout crowd at Boston College, red bandana night where they honor. I remember his last name Wells, the 9/11 hero, in that game. So very emotional, big night, and their only loss on the year is a 6-point loss at top 15 Missouri. So Boston College is definitely a team that surprised so far, but right now the class of the ACC is definitely Miami. They've blown out everyone they've played. Cam Ward looks like a Heisman Trophy candidate. The schedule is really reasonable for the Canes to go 11-1 or even undefeated all the way through to the ACC title game. Mario Cristobal has put together a really quality football team, and I think it was the South Florida coaches said that they matched up, pretty favorably to the talent that Alabama had, and South Florida played both teams, and we know South Florida got into the fourth quarter in a one-score game with Alabama and Tuscaloosa, and Miami ran them off the field in the second half. So that Miami team, I don't think, we've seen before where it's like, oh, is Miami back, and then they go and collapse or lose a game that they're not supposed to or two and fall out of the ACC chase. It's not that they're not unbeatable, but I would be really, really surprised if you don't see them in the ACC title game. And I think they'll probably be facing either a Clemson team that's found an offense since the Georgia loss. Now they haven't been playing teams with Georgia type, talent, but they'd struggle moving the ball on anyone the last 3 or 4 years, and they've exploded the last couple games against NC State and Appalachian State. So we'll see if they keep trending in that direction, but they probably got the most across the board talent to give Miami a game. And then Louisville, we're going to find out more about them when they go and play at Notre Dame this week. But that's a team that's pretty salty on the defensive side of the ball. They got a pretty solid defensive line. They're pretty good on offense, and I think you could see them make some noise and be a threat to get to that title game. But right now, I would feel pretty confident about locking in Miami, and then with them probably facing Clemson in the title game.
Nice.
Anybody want to comment? Ask Jeffrey any questions?
Well,
I like Miami.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Don.
So I think this is the week that North Carolina plays Duke, right?
Right.
So you have Mac Brown versus Manny Diaz, his former defense coordinator at Texas. I remember that well when Mac Brown fired Manny Diaz the day after Taysom Hill went for about 300 yards rushing against him up in Provo, Utah, Brigham Young. So, who's going to win that game?
I mean, I feel like they get Duke is in Durham, and I still think North Carolina is going to be reeling off of that loss to James Madison. Duke is quietly 4-0. Malik Murphy is really coming along at quarterback there. They had that comeback win at Northwestern in overtime at fourth quarter where, he really played well. And I think you're starting to see him turn the corner there at Duke. And I feel like even with some of the offensive talent that North Carolina has with Hampton at running back, I think there's just too much scarring from that James Madison game. And I think you'll see Duke come out of that game 5-0.
Okay.
Hey, you didn't mention Louisville. Any reason why?
Yeah, I give a little shout out to Louisville. Yeah.
Yeah, he said Louisville.
Okay, I missed that.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, I think Duke Louisville's probably one of the more balanced teams in the ACC. They got to go on the road to play Notre Dame, which I think they can be competitive in. They started the season with a couple of cupcake games, but then they played a pretty credible Georgia Tech team, and came up with a special teams block at the end, forcing turnover on Haynes King, who'd really been playing well this year, the Georgia Tech quarterback. I think Louisville is a threat to make the ACC title game. I don't think they'll get there over Clemson, but they're on the short list of teams that can crash that party.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Dave, he kind of insulted us Pitt fans here, but so I'm going to ask you, Jeffrey, what did you think about the two Pitt victories back to back over Cincinnati and West Virginia, and what's your prognosis of our transfer quarterback?
No, I think he's been really, really solid so far, and like you said, James, about the comeback victories. I think when you look at Pitt, where I'm not sure I really trust him yet is in the secondary, but that team has a ton of heart, and that you can't count them out against anyone. I mean, they were down 27-6 against Cincinnati on the road, came back and won. They got down, I think it was 10 against West Virginia in the backyard brawl, and came back and won that game. So then they played Youngstown State and blew them out, and now they're on a bye. And that's a team I think you can feel that can feel good about their start to the season, coming off a 3-win 2023. They've been one of the ACC surprises so far this season. I'm not sure I can really see them getting to the ACC title game. But I mean, all of a sudden you look and you say, hey, this is a team that can maybe win 9 games, maybe 10. They get Clemson, I think, has to go to Pittsburgh, and they're just going to get better because with that secondary that honestly I don't really trust right now. Well, they survived the games where they didn't really play that well, and they start getting that to come along with Holstein playing at quarterback, and they're a really dangerous team, and they've proven that they can beat credible P4 teams out there. Them and Boston College have been my 2 surprise teams in the ACC. Really so far this season.
Yeah, I really want to see. They're going to play North Carolina. I think that's their first conference game, and I think it's really going to be important for them to win easily.
Yes.
Because if it's a struggle, or if they lose that game, then we know that we kind of saw a mirage there at the beginning. So I mean, for me, I'm looking forward to that North Carolina game, and they need to put a thumping on it.
Yeah, and that's another reason why I think North Carolina is in a heap of trouble, because they got to play Duke, that Don mentioned, rivalry game. You got to play Pittsburgh, who's off to a 4-0 start, and we know that they're pretty solid. And then they got to play Georgia Tech, who they've had trouble with for years. I mean, their season could really go into a tailspin if they lose to Duke, because I think those are 3 pretty tough opponents that they've got to face here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be a rough road. I would love to see Pitt start off 6-0. Even if it's at the expense of Carolina starting out 0-6. So, but Jeffrey, Tennessee has jumped up to number 5. Do you think that's a little too much too soon?
I don't think so. I know I can't even pronounce his name. The quarterback there,
Bill's not here, so.
But I mean, he's proven about unstoppable right now, and I know that the first time I saw them this year was against NC State, before kind of NC State free fall there, and I mean they just exploded. On the Wolfpack down in Charlotte, and then they go down to Oklahoma this past weekend, and I think everyone pretty much recognized that Oklahoma, with some of their struggles offensively, was probably not equipped to handle a team like Tennessee. But I mean, Tennessee is taking care of business. I don't see any reason why they don't at the moment look like one of the 5 or 6 best teams in the country now. I mean, of course they still got to still play some of the better teams, the very best teams in the SEC. But right now, I think being right there at 5 or 6 is a pretty spot on for Tennessee.
Thing is, we'll find out, right? We'll find out.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
we can
exactly.
speculate now, but we're gonna find out.
But exactly. We'll find out if they really are. But I think at the moment, I mean, they're as reasonable at that spot as anyone.
What do you think, Don?
I think Tennessee is the real deal. I mean, now granted, Oklahoma, their offensive line is in shambles right now. They have a quarterback controversy, but I think Tennessee is legit. I could see them making some noise, definitely. That SEC is tough, man. I'm telling you, Bama, Georgia, Tennessee. So yeah, it's I think they're legit, but again, they have a lot of games to play yet.
That's what makes it fun. We get to watch all these games happen on the field, and everybody gets exposed, and they'll figure it out.
There's no hiding. Ask Florida State.
Exactly.
Dave, you have anything for Jeffrey before we let him go?
No, I agree with you guys on Tennessee. they got Arkansas, who they should beat. What will be interesting is Florida, and then they got Alabama coming up, and then that will be, depending on what type of a performance they put on. If they win the first two games, well, that will demonstrate they need to be where they're at, or if they're upset, well, they're going to be bumped down a few rungs on the ladder. That's all. I think they're fine right where they're at right now.
Well, Jeffrey, we'll see if they're 6-0 or 7-0 by the time we get back. Like you said, they got a little stretch coming up there, Florida and Alabama. So we'll see. Demetrius, any last things for Jeffrey before we let him go?
No, I'm good. Good stuff. Appreciate you not elaborating on Boston College, Michigan State. but good stuff as always. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good to see you again. Yeah.
It was only a quality win for Boston College because I think Michigan State is solid.
Yeah. And you can't turn the ball over that many times. There's a direct correlation between turnovers and losses in football. 4 interceptions, you don't win. We're lucky that we even had a shot. So Boston College deserved it. They earned it. So, yep.
Well, I wasn't mad about Pitt destroying my alma mater, Youngstown State, but at least we took home a big check. So, Don, any last thoughts for Jeffrey?
No, I got my thought in with the Duke, North Carolina. I'm that's a game that I really want to watch just because of the backstory. But I'll be in Austin watching Mississippi State, Texas. So,
Jeffrey, give us your final thoughts for the evening.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I enjoy is really watching the games, and I mean, all that legal stuff aside, it's kind of a shame that's something that everyone has to talk about, and because it never goes away. But at the end of the day, I think the expanded playoffs is going to make it better. You have a team like a Clemson that looks bad in game number 1 against Georgia. I mean, they took a beating that game, especially in the second half. But it doesn't knock them out of the playoff chase. They can work their way back up. Already, I think they've gotten back into the top 20, and I think that's going to be the beauty of the expanded playoffs. Even a Notre Dame who lost to Northern Illinois in years past, that would have completely knocked them off the radar. And if they win out, they're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to get back in the top 12. So the first year of the playoffs has created, I think, what people wanted to see. It still kept a lot of teams in that chase, and so I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Alabama, Georgia this week. The loser of that game is absolutely not in any danger of missing the playoffs if they take care of business. But you got a great football game where they're going to go into the bragging rights this weekend, and then the game I think could be just an unbelievable game. When Texas and Georgia play here pretty soon. So just some great football in front of us, and not having the life or death result that we, football wise, that we've seen in the past where teams can recover and still get back into this chase.
Yeah, well, we'll see how things shape up in a couple of weeks when we have you back, Jeffrey. We always appreciate your time, my man, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Enjoyed seeing everyone again. Bye.
Take care, Jeff.
Thanks.
Don, what we didn't talk about was your number one Longhorns. They're without their number one quarterback. But Don, is it going to make any difference?
No, not really. So they're playing the worst team. Well, let me back up. For many years, the worst team in the SEC was always Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
They had the highest GPA, but also
exactly.
But Mississippi State, they're terrible. They're on their second quarterback. their offensive line is terrible. They lost their leading tackler for the week. So they're just a bad football team, and they're coming into they're coming into the Coliseum. You know what I'm saying? So it's it's going to get ugly, and so tomorrow we'll find out if Ewers is going to be playing or not. But if he's not, Arch Manning is going to light him up. I'm just saying. I mean, Arch Manning has all kind of upside. So and if Arch Manning gets,
I was just going to ask, why would you even play yours? Why not just give him another week if it's
exactly? Yeah, because after this week they have an off week, and then they have Oklahoma.
He gets 2 weeks off. I'm sorry, you can go to the Bahamas for a couple of weeks. We'll see you when you get back.
Now, 2 years ago, Ewers got hurt against Alabama. He had a joint separation in his shoulder, and then he didn't play the next week. Malik Murphy, who's now at Duke, played. And then they had an off week, and he came back in Oklahoma, and he ended up throwing 5 touchdown passes. Beat Oklahoma 49-0. So hopefully history repeats itself. But you know what? The quarterback room at Texas is so deep right now. They have a true freshman, Trey Owens, who actually threw for more yards in the spring game than Manning or Ewers. I mean, he's good. So Sarkisian knows his quarterbacks. He's a guru. He does got Alabama. Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
Who he coached them guys. So recruited them too. So yeah. So I'm not worried about who the quarterback is this week. I'm just I'm looking forward to the next games, the next tough games after off week. Oklahoma and Dallas, and then you got Georgia and Austin. And
I know you'll be in Austin. No doubt.
Got my seats in section 27. Yeah, I'll be there.
Nice.
All right, guys. Well, hey,
NFL.
All right. Well, let's start with Monday Night Football. The Bills spanked the Jags 47-10. Josh Allen throws for 4 TDs. Are the Bills the best in that division, Demetrius?
Yeah. With the Tua situation, which for me is more about a young man's health than whatever the Dolphins need. I'll never root for that old bastard in New York. I'm not talking about him. And I think that the Patriots are what they are. So I don't really. Yeah, that's an easy one. They look good. I think it's a long season, and the theme tonight's going to be. It's only been 3 games. We want to start saying we know who everybody is after 3 games. I think I can comfortably say Buffalo's good, and comfortably say they're the best team in that division. Yeah, they still got games. They got to come to Detroit down the line. There's games, and we'll see who they are. But right now, after 3 weeks, yeah, you got to say they're the best in that division.
What do you think, Dave?
Yeah. And just like Demetrius said, Tua, and they lost their other quarterback.
Right.
So he has a rib injury. So, scratch them. And right now, the only team that could compete with them right now is the Jets. And I just think that Buffalo is a more complete team.
Yeah.
So I would say that, yes, they are the best in their division.
You agree, Don?
Well, right now we can't argue against that statement. I mean, they seem to be humming it. So yeah, I concur.
Don, the Commanders shocked the world on Monday Night Football. The Bungles fall to 0-3 after a 38-33 loss. The Bungles cornerback Cam Tyson-Britt said he doesn't regret the remarks he made about Cincinnati having a college offense. Don, did you see this ass whooping coming?
No, actually, I thought it'd be a good game. It was a good game, but Cincinnati has too much talent to be playing the way they are. So that there's something screw going on in the press box, I think. But maybe there's some validity to that point about running college offense because Joe Burrow is a good quarterback. He has a good supporting cast. They're just not getting it done. Defensively, they're giving up. I mean, they're just offense is scoring the points, but the defense is giving up points too. So there's something going on in the press box, front office, whatever, because they are too damn talented to be 0-3. There's a lot of teams that are 0-3 because they just suck. I don't think Cincinnati really just sucks. I just think something's maybe they're snake bit or I don't know, but they should be, they could very easily be 2-1 right now instead of 0-3.
Yeah, I thought they'd come out the box a little better, but on the other side, I'm very glad that they're 0-3. But
you're not unhappy about it.
No, not at all. Demetrius, what was your thoughts on that game? Did you expect the Commanders to come out like that?
No, I think that my thought is that if I played on a defense that didn't force a punt or give up a turn or get a turnover the whole night, I'm not sure I would have been making any comment about my offense. I think the reality is what it is. Statistics, me, never lie. You're 0-3. You've painted yourself into a corner now, right? I think the defense can be better, so you just shut your mouth. I thought Burrow looked good Monday night anyway. So I agree with Don. There's probably something underlying we don't know yet. The good news is you get Carolina this week. It's a chance to just feel better. Just go get a win and see what it feels like to win a game in 2024, which can turn it around. But the data suggests you're 0-3, and I forgot what the percentage is. It's very low, making the playoffs. And by the way, you're in the toughest division in football. So there's that as well. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know if Cleveland's that good. So maybe it's not the toughest division. But I like you guys, and I like the Ratbirds. So I think that starting off 0-3 is not what you want to do in that division. So they're in a tough spot.
Dave, I know you're with me celebrating here, but what did you think about the game?
Well, here's a defensive back talking about his own offense, and Daniels is the Cincinnati offensive line just about sacks him. He throws the ball off his back foot from, I don't know, what was that, 40 yards out into the back of the end zone for a touchdown. What's this guy talking about his offense for?
They scored 32 points.
Bengal. I mean, they're always doing that. So I had concerns about Joe Burrow's elbow. He's coming back from an elbow injury, but he's passing. He's getting his yardage. I think it's still something to keep an eye on. But I think that their defense is a bit in disarray, and I'm just happy because a lot of people were picking Cincinnati to be number one in the division, and they probably are unlikely to make the playoffs. But let's see what happens over the next 2 or 3 games.
If I'm a quarterback and my defense is giving up 38 points, I think I should shut the fuck up. But that's just.
Well, I would say to you that if I'm a quarterback and we scored 33 and lost the game, I think my defense should shut the fuck up. Right? Maybe everybody needs to just be quiet. Right?
Yeah.
Well, Cincinnati's always had this problem where they got people talking. Yeah. Like when they had Ocho Cinco and who was a great player, but his mouth.
I think Don's right. There's something going on. We don't know yet. Something's going on in Cincinnati. We just don't know yet.
Well, what was interesting, you mentioned that it's like the whole insight that. I have a talk that I do at Steelers Town Hall on Monday nights, and one of the guys here is from Seattle, and he was talking about the demise of the Seattle team with our current quarterback that hasn't played yet, Wilson,
Right.
and the rest of the team. And part of what happened there was he was going through a separation with his wife. She had been cheating on him. He never said a word, but then people wanted to know who was she cheating on with him? And it turned out that it was somebody in the locker room.
Oh, wow.
And then there was a big division between the defense and the Legion of Boom and the offense, and some accusations that Wilson didn't represent his people well enough, and so forth. So, the clubhouse dynamics can always have an impact. Now, I don't know if anything like that's going on in Cincinnati, but I was unaware of this whole story with Wilson in Seattle. I was completely oblivious to it until this guy on our chat on Monday night, kind of laid it all out, what happened up there.
Dave, I can definitely see Joe Burrow laying pipe to some women on the beach.
We're after 9. He's good.
Burrow has that vibe of the guy that would be like banging at people's checks. I could see it. That's why Cincinnati's 0-3, because Burrow's banging someone.
The rumor. No, I'm not gonna do it. I think
you heard it here first. You heard it here first.
Because the guy ended up with the Lions, but I'm not going to say his name out loud because I don't know. That ain't cool. But I have a pretty good idea of who the rumor was that the guy was, because he ended up in Detroit. So,
okay, all right. Hey, we get TMZ at the same time.
Exactly. I mean, it's easy to figure out why receiver that went from Seattle to Detroit. It ain't hard to figure it out. I'll let you guys look it up.
It's like Tony Parker banging Barry's wife, cheating on Nate Longoria. Man, that runs first.
Wow. There's a great Tiger story from, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago about that as well. Prince Fielder. This is not uncommon. I'll leave it that way.
It's definitely not uncommon.
The rumors. I can't prove anything. So.
So let's talk about some Sunday games here. We'll start off with the Chiefs. The Chiefs defense, to me, actually saved the day with those 3 stops down inside the red zone.
No interference.
Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins, he was 20 of 29 for 230 yards and 1 TD. But the Chiefs wide receiver, Ray Rice, he had 12 receptions, 110 yards, and 1 TD.
Okay, we're talking about Rashid Rice, first of all, because we don't want to be talking about Ray Rice. We don't want to be talking about Ray Rice. We're talking about Rashid Rice. That's what we're doing. Okay. I like that.
But Reggie isn't here, guys. But the Chiefs are 3-0. Still trying for that 3-peat. The Falcons are 1-2. What's your thoughts on that game, Don?
Well, my thoughts is there was flagrant pass interference in the end zone, and I don't really have a dog in that race. I don't really care who won, because I like Kansas City, I like Atlanta, but that was just, the guy was like all over him. So let's just get that out of the way. But good teams find a way to win, and the Chiefs must be a good team because they keep finding ways to win.
What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, well, what impresses me is Atlanta. After that week 1 game against Pittsburgh, I thought, these guys are horrible and all this. And it just seems like, hey, that was their final tune-up. And I think that they're playing well. And Cousins has found a rhythm and is passing. And, they stayed in the game. And Kansas City is good. I think, they lost Pacheco, which could hurt a little bit. But my takeaway from the game is the Falcons are a lot better team than they were week 1.
Yes. What did you think about the Bankers' performance, Demetrius?
I loved it. I echo everything Dave just said. Atlanta's better than we think. I picked them to win the South, and I'm sticking with it. but I also agree with Don in that we watch enough football, guys, that one or two plays, sometimes it's a play or two. The NFC Championship game last year, there's one play. The 2 plays the Lions make, they're in the Super Bowl. Their loss to Tampa last week, one play, right? I did a whole final thoughts one time last year on the officiating in the National Football League. I don't think I'm out of line saying that play cost them this game. And if we go 15 or 16 weeks and it cost them a division because of one game, which could happen, it could cost them seeding, right? That's how this game is. It kind of makes it great, but I could do an hour if you guys would let me on how bad I think officiating is in the National Football League. And the fix is super simple, by the way. But I've already done it, and you guys are smart enough to know what it is. So my takeaway is Atlanta's better than we thought. They could have and probably should have won that game. The Chiefs might be susceptible. But I think one bad call by the refs, that's a situation where one call changed the game.
Yeah, most definitely. Demetrius, the winless Rams stunned the 49ers 27-24 without their 2 best wide receivers. The 49ers, Brock Purdy, still had he completed 22 of 30 passes. He had 292 yards and 3 TDs. The Rams running back, Karen Williams, he had 24 rushes, 89 yards, and 2 TDs. Demetrius, are the 49ers who we thought they were?
They are when they're healthy. I mean, they're who we thought they were with significant injuries, right? That's what the NFL, like Any Given Sunday is not just some shitty movie from 15 years ago. It's legitimate. It wasn't that bad. It was a decent movie, I guess.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't, right? Okay, good. But
I've never watched it. That's how bad it is. I've never seen it.
I'm not going to ask you to. I think when right, the game as a whole, the season is often about attrition. We got hit hard this week, lost 4 dudes, right? Injuries change everything. If you don't have the depth, or if you lose a Christian McCaffrey, right? If you who you lose matters. And the Rams played us to overtime week 1, but they lost Puka and Cup. But the 49ers are missing. So it's a combination of. So your question is, are the 49ers, when they're healthy? Yes. When they're healthy, yes. But even with that said, on any given Sunday, there's 5 teams that can beat them, right? And if they're hurt and they don't have the depth, that's what makes this great. That's why we give it them. It's any given Sunday. I mean, the Cardinals blew the Rams out in week 2 after they went to overtime with us in week 1, and then we manhandled the Cardinals. So none of it makes sense. But I think this one, injury is a big part of it. I don't think there's a great team in this league that unbeatable, that there's no 85 Bears, there's no 91 Redskins. Those teams don't exist in 24. If you don't bring your best game, or if you're injured and you don't have the depth, any team can beat you. Any team. Any team can beat you.
We've reached parity.
Don,
what did you think? Roselle is doing a jig right now.
What did you think, Don? Are the 49ers who they thought they were?
I like Demetrius. I mean, so the 49ers, the best wide receiver held out of training camp for most of training camp. He's rusty. They're missing McCaffrey, who's probably one of the more dynamic running backs. He can run, he can catch. He blocks. Picks up blitzes. I mean, he's just that kind of guy. So, Purdy's. I mean, he guys put up good numbers, but they're still losing. So, again, defense has to step up, and if your quarterback's throwing 3 touchdowns of passes, your defense needs to keep the other team from scoring. And then it makes you wonder if someone's not screwing someone else's girlfriend in that block. Because the 49ers are too good to be losing to the Rams. I'm just saying.
But Dave, I believe the story is that McCaffrey is in Germany trying to get some kind of treatment, and he might be out for an extended amount of time. So what's your thoughts on these 49ers, Dave?
Well, you got to have your play. I mean, you can have all of the players you want on your roster, but if they're not available to you,
Exactly.
they're no help to you. And the thing is, the Rams are a better team than we realize. They got Cup Puka Nakua. They got some good players on their team in addition to the performance that the running back did. But something that Don said, the rust on Ayuk.
Right.
I mean, they've lost Deebo Samuel now for I don't know how long. I don't know. I don't think that they're putting him on injured reserve, but he might be out for a couple games. But Ayuk is demonstrating what happened, why training camp is important, and why it drives me nuts that they've been paring back on camp, where they're only allowed to practice. I think it's is it 2.5 hours a day? That's the extent of their practice that they're allowed per day. Now, they'll have meetings inside, the facilities, but for actual physical practice, the NFL practices less than college teams.
Yeah.
And Ayuk is showing, here we are week 3, and you got a guy he's not NFL ready, because, he stayed out of camp the whole time. So I think that they're paying a price for it because they needed Ayuk to really step up with the loss of Deebo Samuel. And Ayuk, he's a really good receiver, but he wasn't there. So we'll see. It's a long season, but we'll see. The other thing I'd like to mention, and again, this is a Black Sox moment, but the NFL is going to go to an 18-game season. They're talking about doing it within the next year, before the next CBA.
Yep.
And I tell you, I don't watch every game. I watch every Steelers game, and then I'll watch parts of other games. But every week I'll see the summaries, the recaps. And each team has 3 to 4 injuries of varying degrees.
Yep.
Each week. So that's 100 to 130 players every week that are being hurt. And you want to add more games. Yeah. To me, they should go back to the 16-game season. They should keep cap it at 32 teams because it was a perfect schedule when they had 16 games with 32 teams. To expand the league and to add teams, well, now you're going to water down the product because it's going to be spread out further. But also, if you go up to 18 games, you're watering down the product because each week you're having 100 to 130 players hurt. And so the teams that you see in week 17 and 18, they don't have the talent that they started with back in week 1. So I'll take my black socks off now and put my Crocs on.
I love it. Don't ever take them off. Yeah, you're absolutely right, by the way.
Well, I think they should have. I don't mind the 18-game season because I'm a fan, but I do think that they should protect the players, give them more practice time. I've always said that players, if you're playing in a game of that magnitude and of that level, you have to be in shape. And I understand, that they have all the cryovac and all this good stuff, but there's nothing like contact.
So, but there's one quick thing. I think, one, they're going to add a second bye week. This is how they're going to sell it. Dave's right. They're going to jam this down our throats. We don't have anything to say about it. But they're going to say second bye week. I think they need to go to the Guardian helmets. That's what I think. Because I worry most about brain injuries. I don't care about how they look. I don't care about aesthetics. If you're going to add a game, they're going to say they're going to expand the rosters and create more jobs. But to Dave's point, those guys aren't as good, and they're going to be playing week 16, 17, 18, deciding division titles, and it's going to be the 4th right guard on your depth chart because the other guys are down. And I if they could go back, I'm reasonable enough to know they're never going to go back to 16 games. Too much money. Each one of those weeks generates X amount of revenue. They could add a bye week, still have another week of content for the TV networks because everybody won't be off.
I would take it back to 16 games and add another
Guys,
night.
Right.
Guys, if we all live to be 2030, there'll be 20 NFL games, not 18.
Now there's a wall.
We're not going back. So
I'm not going to stop there. Isn't go back. There's still 17 weeks of football, but each team only plays 16 games. Well, that's what I want. That's what I've always wanted. Yeah.
Demetrius, by the way, you mentioned the Guardian cap.
Yeah,
they're allowing it. I know that James Daniels for the Steelers, he's wearing a Guardian cap in the game.
I think they should make it mandatory. I'm going past the recommendation.
Oh, okay, but it is because before they weren't allowing it in the games.
Right.
But now they are. Right? It's on a voluntary basis. So I know that Daniels from Pittsburgh is.
You want me to believe
one, and you don't really notice it on the TV.
I don't think I would notice it at all. So to me, I'm like, make that mandatory. That'll tell me you care about player safety, right?
Let's let Mr. Scott in here. Mr. Scott, how are you doing this evening?
Well, I'm doing good. It's always great to just come in and listen to the real experts. It just really helps me. It's just as a novice, in this game, come and listen to the real experts. But I'm doing great. Yeah. Yeah.
We were earlier. We were talking to the experts, about baseball because we were missing the Twins in that playoff.
Well, I was watching it tonight. They've got the lowly Miami team. They lost last night. And then the Tigers of all teams, of course, the Tigers has a great pitcher. Right? What's that guy, Terry Skubal or whatever? They're tremendous. Oh my God, tremendous pitcher. Again, and always the Kansas Cities that always, they have nothing usually but Bobby Witt this year. But so I don't know. I didn't know if the Twins won. I saw them tie it up. I don't know.
They're up big. I think they're up 9-2 or something like that right now.
Yeah, and I saw, Buxton hit a home run. He shows up at the end of the season, So, well, we'll see. But we're really more Vikings and Lynx right now. We're not really that concerned. The Twins, I've always had the managers. I'm not a fan of the manager, So I could do a better job. I really believe.
That's great.
Well, let's get caught up here because we were talking about the 49ers and they lost to the Rams. And I was asking the panel here, Mr. Scott, are the 49ers what we thought they were?
That's a very good question. Sports. Football now in general, it's almost becoming like women's tennis. Anybody can win. Right now, that's who's really good this year. There's a gentleman in the middle of the screen here that really thought there was a team in Detroit that we call them the Honolulu Blue was supposed to be so great. And there, Kansas City was supposed to be so great. They don't look like they're themselves. And then with what you gentlemen were talking about, the length of the season, the injuries, they don't wear any equipment. They don't have any knee pads or hip pads or any of these things that might mitigate some of these quads and all these mysterious quads. I think the gentleman in Pittsburgh has this mysterious quad. And the game that they're playing in Pittsburgh, well, I'm not going to name a starter. His quad is out, and they've won 3 games by the skin of their skinny skin teeth. So, what can you say about what's with the NFL right now? Who is really good right now? They say the Vikings is one of the best. I guess I'd have to co-sign that.
Of course you would.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But then Sam Darnold was dinged up. His knee was dinged up, and then Jefferson had a little dinged up.
I'm going to go back to some of our preseason tapes and listen to you talk about Sam Darnold.
Yeah. I remember when I told him Sam Darnold will not be your problem. You're not going to be unhappy with Sam Darnold. You railed on Sam Darnold a month ago. You gave Sam Darnold the business.
But anyway, but we'll get to his Vikings and your Lions and my Steelers and the Cowboys.
It was worst 3-0 team in the league by far. Worst 3-0. You know, and look, but their last 8 games, they're just.
It doesn't matter whether you're the worst 3-0 team as long as you're 3-0. That's the point. But anyway, let's talk about some teams that aren't 3-0. And I'm going to start with you since you just got here, Mr. Scott. The Broncos, their quarterback, Bo Nix, he had his first TD, but it was not passing, it was rushing. The Broncos beat the Bucks on the road, 26-7. Which team is closer to reality here, Mr. Scott, the Broncos or what we thought was, that 2-0 Bucks team? And we were talking about Baker Mayfield.
Well, it's just like my theory said, who's good. I mean, it's like the great world's tallest midget. I mean, I met him in Phoenix. I saw him. I met him. He was playing handball up against the curb. And then this week, he's fast. He moves. But they showed nothing this week. So who's really good? That's why I'm here. I'm listening to the experts because my board last week just blew up. My boards blew up. I had 2 3-teamers, each one of them 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3. I should have mixed it up different. So yeah, I don't know who's real right now, and I think the discussion that you gentlemen had about the way there's no practice, there's no. People getting hurt right away. People even getting hurt in camp when they don't even play. They don't even play a game. There's guys that have gotten hurt that didn't play a game. They just got hurt doing drills. So, but as of right now, I think my Vikings have this division, this big game with Green Bay this week. We'll get that one. If we can get the Green Bay game.
We're going to talk about the Vikings in a little bit here because I got everybody talking about their own particular team. So we're going to talk about your Vikings and them being 3-0. And I don't know. But Don, what did you think about Bo Nix and pulling it out over against Baker Mayfield and the Bucks? I know you like Baker, don't you, Don?
Oh yeah, I love Baker. So, that game shocked me because I figured that Tampa Bay would beat him, double digits, and Denver came out and put the ass whooping on him. So that was a big shock to me. Shocking that Bo Nix still hasn't had a touchdown pass, but you know what? You remember Caleb Williams? He won his first game and didn't throw a touchdown pass either. So. Some of these quarterbacks find a way to win, but that was kind of shocking to me because I had Tampa Bay as being a team to watch this year, but I don't have a lot of faith in Denver doing anything. So I thought that was a big shocker to me.
Yeah, it was a shocker to a lot of us. I'm sure when Dave tells us how we did last week, that's one of the games that we all picked the Bucks.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
What was your thoughts on that, Demetrius?
Oh, I actually wasn't shocked because despite Tampa coming to Detroit and stealing one from us, I wasn't impressed. We played a C- game, and they snuck out of the building with the win, which they deserved because we didn't play well enough to win that day. And I don't never have a problem when I can watch the game and go, okay, we can't throw that interception, we can't commit those penalties. Why we lost? I didn't watch Tampa leave Detroit at the end of week 2 and say, ooh, Tampa's really good. That's not what I thought. I thought, yeah, you caught us on the right day. Congratulations. Get the hell out of our city. I am not shocked. So your question was, which team got a dose of reality? And sometimes the answer is both. Denver probably didn't suck as bad as we all thought they did. And Tampa damn sure wasn't as good as people started to think they were. And to Mr. Scott's point, to what we've all been saying, there is no great team in this league. There is no team that if they show up and play a C+ game, can't get their ass handed to them by any other team in this league. That's how close it is. Welcome to Pete Rozelle's dream. absolute parity. Anybody can be anybody on any given Sunday, and that's all. That's all we saw.
Or any given day of the week now.
Right, exactly. Any given Saturday, any given
Which
Wednesday.
is another issue with these schedules. I mean, playing overseas, playing on Thursdays, playing on Monday nights, playing on Thursday. So those are all I see all part of the issue with what's going on.
This league's not going to turn
They're
down
barnstorming. They're barnstorming.
They're like the old Negro leagues. This league has never turned down $1. They'll put a game on YouTube. They'll put a game on any platform from any city on any day of the week. They don't turn down money. They just don't. That's what they do. So
Yeah, Dave, wrap up this subject for us here.
Yeah, well, I mean, number one with Tampa Bay, if you look at their injury report, they got like 13 or 14 players on their injury report, not an injured reserve, but are like limited in practice and all this because of one ailment or another. So I think that they're banged up. I still like Baker Mayfield. I think he's very competitive, but hats off to Denver. I mean, they whacked him in the mouth. And for Bo Nix, what impressed me wasn't he didn't throw a touchdown pass, but you know what else he didn't throw? He didn't throw an interception.
Yeah,
and I think that went a long way for them because he threw 4 interceptions in the first 2 games.
Yeah.
So I think that as much as we want to focus on the scoring, we also need to pay attention to the turnovers because I think it was Demetrius earlier tonight talked about there's a correlation between turnovers and wins.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to go little individual stuff here. And Dave, the Green Bay Packers quarterback Malik Revenge. He actually got revenge on the team that sent him to the Packers, and he beat the Titans 30-14. But the Titans' Will Levis, he managed to throw 2 TDs in this game. Dave, what was your thoughts on this game?
Well, Malik Willis did a lot of damage with his legs. He had like 6 runs for like 73 yards, which is kind of ridiculous, and did not throw an interception. Unlike Will Levis, who he threw 2 touchdown passes, but he also threw 2 interceptions.
Exactly.
So, I'm still waiting for Mason Rudolph to get into a game down there. But that's my takeaway. Is again, I mean, Malik Willis. I don't think he's the long-term answer. They want to get Love back, and I think he might actually be practicing this week. But again, Malik Willis did his job. He didn't turn over the ball. And if he wasn't going to do it in the air, he did it with his legs.
Okay. Mr. Scott, we're going to talk. I'm going to have you talk about your favorite guy, Mr. Massage. The little people went into Cleveland, and Daniel Jones threw 2 touchdowns to his rookie wide receiver, Malik Neighbors. The little people beat the Browns 21-15. The Clowns wide receiver, Amari Cooper, he had 2 touchdowns in the loss. What did you think about Mr. Massage and the Clowns going down to defeat there, Mr. Scott?
Well, it's looking bad. I mean, and the thing is, as we've said, Mr. Massage hasn't played in a long time. I don't know. They're definitely circled off my board. I can't really. I'm not sure. Who do they play this week?
Cleveland. They play the Raiders.
Yeah, if they can't get this one this week, I mean, this could really be a bad deal. And I feel for the the coach. I mean, and the franchise. They put everything into Mr. Massage, And it's just not looking good now. I mean, I was hopeful that he would come out of the gate strong, which would be a big help for him. But as it looks right now, boy, this could be a make or break game this early in the season with the Raiders, who have really, just been one of these up and down teams too. So I don't know, Mr. Massage. It looks, I think it looks very bad for right now. He just doesn't seem to have. And you look at him play now, it's like, why would you give him the bag? Why would you do all this to give this to him when you see the way he plays now? There's really nothing there that warrants this type of paycheck. And so, I mean, yeah, it looks bad. Miss Massage, I guess we can go back and get a lifetime of massages and just, enjoy yourself.
Don, the Rusty Musket throws, let's see, for 316 yards. He was 26 of 37. He threw 3 TDs in the Panthers' first win. Panthers running back Chuba Hubbard has 21 carries for 114 yards. The Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce said some of his players made business decisions during the game. What do you think there, Don?
That's an interesting way of putting it. Make business decisions during the game. So yeah, but the Raiders. It's like Forrest Gump, that box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. That's what I feel about the Raiders. They're just one of those head scratching teams.
Demetrius, Eagles running backs Saquon Barkley. He had 17 carries for 147 yards. He scored 2 fourth quarter TDs, which actually is what separated the game. The high flying Saints offense was held in check to 12 points after scoring 91 in their first 2 outings. The Eagles won the game 15-12. Were you impressed?
Nope. I still think this is another case of, will the real Slim Shady please stand up? I think people thought the Saints were more than they were. The Eagles thing to me is two simple things. It's injury, number one. If Saquon stays healthy for 15 or 16 games, they're a good football team. That dude is that good. Nobody's ever said Saquon Barkley's not a really good player. Every conversation around Saquon, his whole career, has been about his health. Same thing for Jalen Hurts. And I got to be honest, I think the scariest, riskiest thing with them is their coach. I'm not sure that guy can handle adversity. I think they saw a little bit last year and they absolutely collapsed. And there's 100 stories about what was really going on. But we forget that they lost a potential Hall of Fame center last year who was important. Might have been part of the problem too, but he was an important player. So they've got 2 new coordinators, right? They won a game. It wasn't pretty because I watched most of it. And they beat a team that maybe we all thought was better than it was. So I'm not impressed yet. And I think for them, it's simple. If Saquon and Hurts stay healthy, they're a good football team. I don't know that I love their coach just as a leader. I think the minute the crap hits the fan, I'm not sure how their coach is going to act. And that's my real concern with them. Injuries and their coach's maturity are my biggest thing. I wasn't impressed by the win over the Saints because I hadn't bought into the Saints. I didn't buy the Saints were as good as other people thought they were. So it's a good win. Every win in the NFL is good. It's important. You get them when you can before Saquon gets hurt. So I mean, I think that's the way you look at it.
Dave, the Colts running back, Jonathan Taylor, he had 23 carries for 110 yards and 2 TDs. The Bears quarterback, Caleb Williams, finally found his rhythm, but he was 33 of 52 passes, Dave, 52 passing attempts. 363 yards, and 2 TDs in the loss. The Colts get their first victory with the 21-16 win over the Bears. Dave, what was your takeaway from this game?
Well, with the Bear, they tried to mount a comeback at the end of the game, and the Colts lost a couple defenders, a couple starters in the last drive. But I think the problem for the Bears is Caleb Williams. He's averaging about 40 passes a game. That's second in the NFL.
Yeah.
And they're 31st in rushing yards. What they need to do is they need to get this offense balanced and get this running game going to help take the heat off of Caleb Williams. Because what teams are going to start, they're going to start teeing off on him if the Bears can't run it all, and they're 31st in the league in yards run. So that's the Bears. For the Colts, Richardson, he's leading the league with 6 interceptions. He's feast or famine. He can run the ball well. He can throw the ball a country mile, but he can also throw in interceptions. And so he's kind of a work in progress. But, the difference to me was the Colts had a running game. So that kind of took the heat off of their young quarterback. And, because this is Richardson's, his second year in the season. So I think that was what the difference was.
Okay. Don, the Not Yet's quarterback, Ayahuasca, he was 27 for 35, 281 yards and 2 TDs. The Not Yet's beat the Pats 21-3 in their home opener. Were you impressed, Don?
I was very impressed. I was shocked. I was like, wow, maybe he's on something other than the Ashawaka, whatever it's called. Maybe he's doing something else. But I'm not all into all these Chinese herbs and stuff, but I do know cannabis, so maybe that's being worked in. I don't know. But so the Jets were very impressive. I thought Rodgers came out with the mission. He said, "I'm going to show that Don Hayes in San Antonio, Texas, to shut his ass," and he did. He did. Now, on the other hand, the Patriots just might be terrible.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's my thought.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm going to change my narrative. I'm going to say, yeah, Pats are terrible.
Okay. Mr. Scott, the Finns lose Tua's backup, Skylar Thompson, in a 24-3 loss to the undefeated Seahawks. Coach Mike McDonald has his team at a perfect start and a 2-game lead in their division over the 49ers. Seahawks backup running back Charbonnet had 18 carries for 91 yards and 2 TDs. Mr. Scott, do you think the Seahawks might be for real?
Well, I really wish that another guy who's been ducking me, a guy named Bo, I really wish that he was around to really kind of break it down for me. But from what I see now, Geno Smith, he's been underrated. He's a guy that's gotten his chance. And I see, boy, so far, how can you knock the record? I mean, there's a gentleman here on this panel that thinks a 2-1 Detroit team is going to the Super Bowl. They're so wonderful. They're so great. But, what can you say about the Seahawks?
I will say a lot next Wednesday when that Seattle team comes to Detroit Monday night and takes the work.
Oh, yeah. I'll have to get my popcorn.
We can put a pin in this until next week.
And we will talk about popcorn for that game. Yeah.
You wound them up like a clock there, Anthony.
That'll be a very circle. We'll see.
No problem. They'll be in Detroit Monday night.
Now, I tell you, it's getting like women's tennis where the number ones go down and everybody go. You don't know all these names you never heard of. Ayahuasca, Kapaska. these type of people win. So right
was
now, I
Soviet
like the position that they're in, and I have no fear whatsoever of the Honolulu Blue. I think they're overrated. They did the best they could last year.
Why
They
is he
went
talking
far
about
as
the Lions
they
right now?
go.
He asked you about the
Far
Seahawks,
as
man.
they can go, but yeah. So, but yeah, I'm really looking at the Seahawks. I mean, I like what I've seen of Geno Smith. I really am.
Love the Seahawks.
Okay, all right. The Redbirds running back Derrick Henry has 25 rushes for 151 yards and 2 TDs. The Redbirds hold the Cowgirls off in a desperation comeback, 28-25. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott we was 28 out of 51 passing attempts. He had 359 yards, 2 TDs. Jerry was not impressed after that game. What are you hearing down there?
Well, let me tell you what the Cowboys lack. They lack quality defensive linemen. Their linebackers are good. The secondaries, they're solid, but their front four, they're terrible. I mean, they got hooked, they got reached, they got driven back, they were being manhandled, and I don't know if Baltimore's offensive line is that good. I mean, they're good, but I don't know if they're be doing that to Dallas. So, Jerry always spends all this money on his quarterbacks and wide receivers. He needs to get some freaking defensive linemen, some big three techniques and stuff like that. So of course, I don't lose any sleep over Dallas because if I did, I would never sleep. But I'm just saying.
What about the defensive coordinator?
Yeah, I mean they're terrible defensively. Cowboys, I said a few weeks ago, I said Cowboys. They're not going to win the Super Bowl, but they'll make the playoffs. Lose first game. They may not make the playoffs.
Hey,
so, I know it's early in the season, but I'm just looking down the road.
In the NFC East. Wow.
Jerry will be bald if that happens because he'll pull all that hair out. Jared Goff throws for 2 TD passes, and the Lions D slows down the world's tallest midget. The Lions went on the road, beating the Cardinals 20-13. Demetrius, tell us about your Lions.
That was just a simple grinded out win. That's how we win games. It's never pretty. We don't blow anybody out. Everyone is kind of a grind out like that. But getting a road win in the NFL is getting a road win in the NFL. You don't ever apologize for a win. Injuries. We took some injuries, though. Davenport went down for the season. We lost linebacker Derek Barnes for a while with a knee. We lost Laporta to a low ankle. Pro Bowl tight end. He'll probably be back soon. And our all-pro center, Torres Peck. But he says he still wants to play with a torn pec. He doesn't care. So this is finally the injury bug caught up to us. I would circle back to Dave's point earlier about none of those dudes played a down in the preseason. I don't know if there's a correlation there, but I wonder if their bodies aren't in football shape and that's what's happening. But what I look at is when I dig deeper, we haven't played a complete offensive game yet. Goff played well Sunday, threw one bad pass. It actually was a bad decision, not a bad throw. But we haven't played a complete game. We still got the 4th rated offense in all of football. Here's the thing. Our defense is rated 10th in the National Football League. If we keep rolling with our offense and it hits its stride and it stays top 5 and our defense stays top 10, I'm not worried about my team because I know we got talent and I know we got depth. Monday night when Seattle comes to town, we play well in prime time. The crowd's going to be crazy because we're us. That's what we do. I expect a good game, a good effort. I expect a win. Not because I think Seattle sucks. I wasn't particularly impressed by their win on Sunday. We haven't played our best game yet, but we play well enough to win. So I expect a really good defensive game against Geno, putting pressure, and I expect the Lions to win the game. I still see 12 wins on this schedule. because I know who we play and I know who we are. Injuries are the thing, but if Laporta's okay and Frank's okay, we have enough depth at linebacker and we have depth up front that we're still going to play well. But a defense ranked 10th and an offense ranked 4th is going to win a lot of games in this league. It's still early, but I think that's a reflection of who we are, and we haven't even played 60 minutes yet. All 3 games, none of them were 60-minute efforts. So they're 2 plays away from beating Tampa and being undefeated. I have no concerns about my team. People who don't watch my team or just want to wind me up might say stuff. I've seen every play of every game since Dan Campbell became coach. If I know nothing else about anything else, I know what this football team is. And so I'm not worried at all.
Okay. Mr. Scott, the Vikings dismantled the Texans 34-7 with a fierce D to stay undefeated. We all thought Texans, were one of those teams that were going to put a bunch of points on the board every game, high flying. But the Vikings quarterback, Sam Darnold, threw 4 TDs to 4 different receivers. Mr. Scott, tell us about your Vikings.
Well, Brian Flores, defense. I mean, and then the rejuvenation of the running attack with Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler. Boy, you got a defense, you can run the ball. That allows the quarterback to do those kind of acrobatics, to spread the ball around. So I really want to see, since, we're in the same division of this team, Detroit, with another guy ducking me. And so what we did to Houston, I'd like to see when Detroit plays Houston, how that's going to come out. I mean, some of these common opponent things are really kind of can tell you what happens, but the league is such. I mean, why does Muhammad Ali struggle with Kenny Norton and George Foreman just blows him out? Why does George Foreman just blow out Joe Frazier when Muhammad Ali just struggles with Joe Frazier?
We don't need to do common opponents. We play each other twice. We're going to bust that ass twice, just like we did last year.
I know
don't care about Houston. We're going to come to Minneapolis and kick your ass.
With my
you come to Detroit, we're going to do it again.
When they debunk your theories, you're always going to disagree when I debunk those, and that's.
There's no theory. We will tell who's better because we play twice. Yeah. We don't have to worry about Houston. What are you talking about? We're going to beat you twice.
Destroyed Houston, but I think it would be a litmus test to see what is Detroit. Would they be able to beat Houston like we were able to? I don't think so.
Shit. We're going to beat you twice. It doesn't matter. We're going to beat you twice, and you're going to say, well, we beat Houston.
We'll see.
Kool-Aid of a certain team. That's what he's doing now, drinking the Kool-Aid of a certain team.
Every day. All day, every day. All day, every day.
Yeah, hey, the name of his podcast is Cornbread and Kool-Aid. Mr.
Absolutely. I have never denied that. That is literally the name of my podcast.
So you got to be.
Vikings are good. Vikings are looking good in this division. I think it's I know it's just 3 games in, but right now the way the defense is playing, the way they can run the ball, the way Darnold is spreading the ball around. I mean, I don't see what's not to like. Really, what's not to like? Only a real naysayer, only a real in their division, and they just they've got
nobody's bad mouthing your team. I think your team is very good,
and all those things they don't work.
I think the Vikings are very good. I told you a month ago the Vikings were good. I don't think you're better than us, but I think you're a good football team. That's all I said. I don't bad mouth the Vikings.
One thing about you guys being in the same division, the proof is in the pudding. Dave, the Steelers beat the Chargers 20-10 in our home opener. Steelers quarterback Justin Fields, he was 25 of 32 passing, 245 yards, and a TD. The Steelers D hold the Chargers scoreless in the second half. Dave, where would we be without that D? You remember I called this game. I said we had to score at least 20 points. I said 24-21, but hey, I'll take the victory any way it comes.
Well, I attended the game. I was at the game, and it was great atmosphere. And these were two teams that were mirror images of themselves. I mean, Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers, they had one of the highest ranked. I think that they were the number one rushing team coming into the game. They didn't leave that way, but coming into the game. And, they had two former Ravens from Jim Harbaugh's brother, Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. But it was a slow start because it was like rock'em sock'em robots. They were just like going back and forth. And the half ended 10-7. The Chargers tried a Hail Mary pass after Chris Boswell missed the 62-yard field goal that was defended. But then in that second half, again, the opinions of a lot of people were whoever turns over the ball is going to lose the game. And Pittsburgh was the one that turned the ball over. I think that Fields made an ill-advised pass. It bounced up in the air, and of all people, Bud Dupree ended up with the ball, former Steeler. But the defense shut the Chargers down. They could not take advantage of that turnover and had to punt the ball. And in fact, the net yardage of the Chargers in the second half, -5 yards.
Wow.
I've never heard of that. They held a team to -5 yards. And, big part of it, Alex Highsmith was hurt, right before the first half ended. And Nick Herbig came in and sacked, got 2 sacks. And one of the things that the Chargers did, which was to me questionable, is they went with Herbert and they played him, but he had a high ankle sprain. But he looked fine. He was passing great, and but he got knocked out of the game. But they had what's his name, Tyler Hinkie, I think, Heineke. He came in and he was like a tethered goat with the Jackals just jumping all over him. So the Steelers ended up with 5 sacks. TJ Watt put the last sack, whenever they were trying to make a drive. But my favorite part was the last 5 minutes of the game. The Steelers got the ball with 4 minutes and 59 seconds to play. And Najee Harris and Cordero Patterson, they just ran savagely. I mean, the Chargers gave up. You could see them, the defenders, like sitting on the ground after a play. They didn't want to get back up. And Najee took it all the way to the goal line, and then the Steelers just stopped. They held the ball for 5 minutes and just punched it all the way to the goal line, and then they finished off in the victory formation for 2. So Justin Fields, he seems to be growing each week. I know that Reggie doesn't like Arthur Smith, but I think that they've done a wonderful job in the development of Justin Fields. He seems to be making much better decisions, aside from that one bad one where they did intercept him. But he had one nice strike to Calvin Austin, who scored on a 55. It was a running catch for 55 yards. So it was a really, really nice atmosphere in the stadium if you were a Steelers fan.
Yeah, well, why isn't he named the starter then? Why doesn't the coach come out and say, "Oh, this is our guy. We're doing all things are looking good." He's not naming him as the starter
because
can I ask a question? Can I just
because Mr. Scott, there's a clause in his contract. If he starts 10 games, then he gets a bonus. So if by any chance Russell Wilson can play a few games, then we can sign Fields and let Russ go next year.
Why shortchange the man? Why shortchange the man? He's coming out. He's playing
Yeah,
good.
it's not a bonus.
They're not
What
paying
happens
Wilson.
is
They're
if
not
he
paying-
if
they don't
he
have to pay
plays, it's
Wilson
not a
anything.
bonus, Anthony. If he plays 10 games, then they got to. They gave the Bears a 6th-round draft choice, and that turns into a 4th-round draft pick. And so that's the issue. But I don't. That's not going to stop them
Doesn't
from
matter.
playing Justin
If they're
Fields.
undefeated 9-0, they're not putting Russell Wilson.
They're going to keep going
Yeah,
with the
I
hot
know.
hand.
Why don't they just say this demands the quarterback? Let's go.
I don't
with
think
this?
you have to say it.
They don't
think
need
you
to
have
say anything.
Right.
And
I don't think you say it. You roll them out every week.
he
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin was asked that exact question. He does every Tuesday, Tomlin Tuesday at 12 o'clock. He does his press conference. He was asked the exact question that Anthony asked. Why don't you name him the starter? And he's saying, I don't have to.
Yeah, I don't even know what that
Well,
means.
Does it? He's working out with the first team. He's practicing, and in all likelihood, he's going to be starting the next game.
all right,
There's not
guys.
a requirement to
No, I disagree with that. I mean, that's fine, But I mean,
But-
the man's
but-
playing
but-
great.
but-
He's doing good. There's no reason to go to the other guy when the guy's doing good. I mean,
Well, the
that's-
other guy's hurt right now. We can't go to him
we don't
anyway.
know that.
So.
He's this what they say he's hurt or some kind of quad or something. We don't know what mysterious. It's a very mysterious.
Calf.
It's like Joe Mauer had bilateral leg weakness. He couldn't play. So I mean, they can play a lot of games with that stuff.
All right, guys, let's get to our predictions here.
Do you want me to go over last week's results?
That's what I was just getting ready to ask you. What was last week's results?
Hey guys, I got to go to bed.
All right, Don.
See anybody?
So I'll give my
Okay,
final
Don.
thoughts. I should be using my phone from here on out. I won't be using
Exactly.
my damn computer.
Okay, you're 15 of 32 in both categories so far this season, Don. Just so that you know.
Okay, well,
All right,
that's why,
Don.
that's why I stay away from Vegas.
All right, Don. You have a good night, man.
Good night, guys.
All right.
It's easy.
So very quickly, there was just Dave, Don, James, and Anthony on the picks against the spread. I was 6 of 16. I was horrible. Don was 5 of 16. James, you were 6 of 16, and Anthony, you were the winner, 8 of 16. You got half of it.
Oh my God.
So for the season, I'm at 24-47. Bill's 9 of 16. Don is 15 of 32. Reggie is 3 of 7. James is 24 of 47. And Anthony's 15 of 30. And we don't have you yet, Demetrius.
All right.
Now for on the over and under, I was 10 of 16. I got bragging rights there. Don was 7 of 16, and James and Anthony were both 6 of 16. So for the season, I'm 25 of 47. Bill is 9 of 16. Don is 15 of 32. Reggie is 2 of 7. James, you're 15 of 31, and Anthony, you're 10 of 27.
Well, we don't. We definitely know not to take. Who's it? Don to Vegas. Who's that for?
Yeah, I think it was Don.
Okay, guys. Let's see. Mr. Scott, the Cowgirls are at the Giants. The Giants are getting 6 points, and the over/under is 45.
Dallas has to win. I mean, that's just the whole thing is blown up. If they can't beat the Giants, yeah, I mean, the Dallas has to win. They have to win. They have to cover, and has to go over. They'll score points if they win. So,
okay, let's go stay with you, Mr. Scott, and we're going to do the Denver Broncos. They're at Ayahuasca, and they're not yet. The Broncos are getting 7.5, Mr. Scott, and the over/under is 39.5.
yeah, I don't like the hooks at all, but I will take Aaron Rodgers, and I'll go with the under. Their defense looks fairly good, pretty good defense. Rodgers looks rejuvenated, and I think yeah, they'll win the game.
Okay. Dave, I'm going to give mine now. I'm going to take. I'm taking Dallas, giving the points, and I'm also taking ayahuasca and giving the points.
What about the over under?
The over under. I'm taking. Let's see. For the Jets, I'm going to take the over, and for the Cowboys, I'm going to take the under. Demetrius.
Okay, so you're taking Dallas and the under, and
I'm taking Dallas and the under, and I'm taking the Jets and the over.
Got it.
Okay. Demetrius.
Dallas and the under, Jets and the under.
Dave, that leaves you.
Okay, I'm taking the Giants and the points and the over in that game. And for the Jets, I'm taking the Broncos and the under.
Okay. Dave, the Vikings against the Packers. The Vikings are giving the Packers 2.5. The over under is 48.5. 43.5. 43.5.
So it's Green Bay minus 2.5, right?
Right. Green Bay minus 2.5. Over under is 43.5.
I think Minnesota can cover it. So I'm taking Minnesota, because I don't think Love is going to play again, and I'm not. Exactly. I think Minnesota's defense can handle Malik Willis running, and I'm going to take the under in that game.
Okay. And the Steelers at the Colts, Dave. The Steelers are getting 1.5, and the over/under is 40.
Wow. Okay. In this other one, Indiana is getting 1.5. So it's Indiana minus 1.5.
They're at home. Yeah, Indiana's getting 1.5. You're right.
Colts are getting points. Okay.
The Colts are getting points, right? 1.5.
The Colts,
I'm still going to go with Pittsburgh, and it's just because of those defenders that got injured at the end of the game. And I'm going to, of course, the Steelers had some defenders hurt too, but I'm going to take the under in that game.
Okay. I'm going to take the Steelers and the under also, Dave. Minnesota and the Packers, I'm going to take Minnesota, and I'm going to take the over.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Scott, Packers and Green Bay, 2.5, 43.5.
Yeah, I'm taking the Vikings. Vikings over.
Taking the over, and you're giving the points. Okay, what about the Steelers?
And they're playing who again?
They're playing Indiana, and they're playing at Indiana.
The Steelers
and the over/under is 40.
Yeah, the Steelers are going to continue to eke out some few wins, but boy, the last 8 games they'll be done. I mean, they got to play Baltimore twice. They got to play.
Oh yeah, and we know what our schedule is.
They're a wrap, but yeah, they'll win this next one in Indianapolis, and it'll be under. They'll just ugly game. They're not going to put any offense on there. It won't be worth watching. So.
Yeah, we know what our schedule is after our break. Go, Demetrius.
I'm going to take Minnesota and the under. I think Flores is about to throw some shit at this kid he's never seen before, and I don't think Green Bay is going to score a lot. So I'm taking the Vikings in the under, and I'm taking the Steelers also the under. I just think that's going to be a low-scoring scrap.
Okay. Staying with you, Demetrius. The Philadelphia Eagles against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is giving Tampa Bay is getting 2 points, and the over/under is 44.
I'm going to take Philly in the over.
Okay. And the next game is the Bungles. They're giving 4 to the Panthers, and the over-under is 47.
This is a get right game. I'm taking the Bungles and the over. I think they're about to light the Panthers up to make up for anger.
Mr. Scott, the Eagles and Tampa Bay. Eagles given 2 points. Over-under is 44.
Yeah, I'll take the Eagles and the under.
The Bungles and the Panthers. Panthers getting 4 points. Over-under is 47.
I'll take Cincinnati and the under also. I don't think Panthers really are no good. And Adam Thielen's out. I don't think they're no good.
Dave, I'm going to take Cincinnati and the under, and I'm going to take the Eagles and the over.
All right. So for me, in the Philly game, I'm gonna go. I like Baker Mayfield. I'm taking Tampa Bay, and I'm gonna go the under. I'm being the contrarian here, and but I'm gonna go along. But actually, Carolina, with Dalton and Deontay Johnson, they had a really good connection.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can keep that up, but I'm still going to go with Cincinnati and the under.
All righty. So let's see, Dave. The Rams giving the Bears 3. They're playing at the Bears, and the over-under is 41.
I don't know if Cup has been. He was a little injured in that game, I think, but I'm still going to go with
Cup's out.
the Rams.
Cup's out.
Cup's out. Cup and the
IR. He might be on the injury reserve.
Yeah, they both are. I know the clue is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to stick with my original thing. I'm going to go with the Rams, but I'm going to go in the over in this game.
Okay.
I almost changed my mind, but I'm sticking with it.
Okay. I'll stick with you there. And the Jaguars at the Texans. The Texans are given 6.5 points. The over-under is 45.5.
And Houston's giving 6.5.
Yes.
Yeah. Joe Mixon was hurt.
They're at home.
Okay, the game's in Houston. Okay.
But I'm going to take Jacksonville in the points. They might lose, but I'm going to go Jacksonville in the points and the under in that game.
Okay. I'll follow you there. Demetrius.
What was the
That's
first
dangerous.
one? Rams and who?
The Rams and the Bears. The Bears are getting 3. The over-under is 41.
Games in Chicago?
Games in Chicago.
I'll take the Bears and the points, and I'm going to take the under. And I'm going to take Houston and the over.
Okay. Mr. Scott.
I'll take the Rams and the over.
Okay.
And then Houston is playing who?
Houston is playing the Jaguars.
Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'll take Houston. Houston and the over. Houston gets well, I think, against it.
Yep, agree. That's a get right game.
Okay, Mr. Scott. The New Orleans Saints. This is a division game. The Saints against the Falcons. The Falcons are getting 2.5 points. And the over
Are they plus or minus? I thought they were minus 2.5.
Yeah. The Falcons are giving the Saints 2.5 points.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
The Falcons are giving the Saints 2.5 points, and the over-under is 42.
Well, that's one of those rivalry games. That's one of the games that over the years that one team that's good, the other team's no good, the no good team wins. And so this one, I'm going to give it to Atlanta, I think, at home. I think New Orleans has been kind of an anomaly and I'll take it under too. I'll take Atlanta in the under.
I think New Orleans gets back on track. I'm going to take New Orleans, and I'm going to give the points, and I'm going to take the over. Second game, Mr. Scott, the Patriots, they're playing at the 49ers. The 49ers are giving them 10.5 points, and the over-under is 40.5.
Yeah, well, that's one of the ones. If they lose to them, I mean, that's like George Foreman losing to Jimmy Young. I mean, that's.
I love the boxing stuff tonight, by the way.
You know,
Right.
just, yeah. So no, they can't beat them. So
10.5 is what you said?
10.5.
I'm giving nobody 10.5. To hell with that. Not in this league. With a Bang of 49. I'm sorry, it ain't my turn. Sorry.
They can't. You know, the 49ers. I mean, this is almost kind of a trick game for them. You know, I mean, it really is. I mean, they should just win going away, and I'm just gonna take them to win going away. I mean, I think that they still have life in their season.
Yeah.
Over under.
Under.
Yeah, I'm going to take the 49ers and the under, but I'm going to take the Saints and the over. I guess, Demetrius, that's your turn.
Falcons under, and I'm taking 10.5. I don't even care who the two teams are. 10.5 is just a shit ton of points in this league where nobody's great, and I'm going to go under on that one too. I think San Francisco got injuries, and I don't think the Patriots are good, but 10.5 is just a lot of points. It's a lot of one-score games in this league.
Okay, Dave?
Yeah, I'm going to go with I'm taking the points with the Patriots. You know, the 49ers lost Javon Hargrave, too.
Exactly.
And he's probably out for the season. They got a bunch of injuries on offense, but I'm still going to go with the over. And then in the Atlanta game, like I said, I think Atlanta is better than they were week 1, so I'm taking Atlanta in the over.
Okay. Dave, the Commanders at the Cardinals. The Commanders are getting 3.5 points. The over-under is 50.
This is a tough one, because Daniels actually looked all right in that game. But I'm still going to take Arizona in the under.
The Chiefs are giving the Chargers 7.5, even though the Chargers are at home. And the over-under is 40.
I'm taking the Chiefs in the under. And Herbert's ankle. I don't even know if he's going to. I imagine he's going to try to play, but we'll see.
And the Commanders and the Cardinals?
I'm taking Arizona and the under.
Okay, I'm taking Arizona and the under. I'm taking the Chargers. The Chiefs and the over. Demetrius.
Where's the Cardinal game?
At the Cardinals. In Arizona.
And what's the spread?
3.5.
I'm gonna take the Commanders and give the 3.5, and I'm gonna say over.
Okay, over under is 50. You're taking the
over.
Whoa,
50? Is that what you said? I'm
Yeah.
sorry, never mind. No, I'm taking the under. My bad. I thought it was 46 for some reason.
No,
Arizona in the under?
I'm gonna take Arizona. No. Commanders in the under.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're only giving 3.5, right? Is that all?
Yeah.
Okay. Commanders in the under. Second game is Chiefs and who?
Chargers.
I don't care what the spread is. I'm taking the Chiefs. What's the spread?
The spread is 7.5.
Yeah, Chiefs.
And the over under is 40.
40?
Yeah.
This is crazy. Okay, I'm taking it over. They made that easy. I'm sorry. I'm a stats guy. I'm just going by the book now. I'm hitting 16. Forget it.
Mr. Scott.
It's I'm going to take the Commanders.
Okay.
I think they're on a roll. I think they're this year's Lions. I really do. And then I'm going to take the over.
The over is 50. The over under is 50.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can't be afraid of those numbers. Sometimes you can't hit the
I'm
number. Get
scared.
beat by the number. You can't get beat by the
Call
number.
me chicken. Call me chicken. That's
Okay. What about the Chiefs and the Chargers?
Well, the Chiefs all day. I mean, the Chiefs are the class of the whole thing. You know, I mean, and 40 has got to be over.
Okay. Staying with you there, Mr. Scott. The Clowns are playing the Raiders. The Clowns are only giving up 2 points. The over and the over under is 37.
And it's in Cleveland.
Nope, it's in Las Vegas.
Boy, that's a lot of temptation in Las Vegas for Mr. Todd.
that is.
Temptation City.
That's really a kind of a toss-up. But I'm going to take Mr. Massage. And, I'm going to take him. I'm going to take him, and I'm going to take the over, even though they haven't scored much. I mean, it's the low number, so I'm going to take it over.
Okay, Mr. Scott. The Buffalo Bills are getting they're plus 2.5, so they're giving the Ravens 2.5. The
Buffalo's favorite, right?
Huh?
Buffalo's favorite in Baltimore?
Buffalo is plus 2.5.
You're getting to. Okay. So
In Baltimore, the over-under is 46.5.
Ooh,
so Baltimore's getting 2.5 points.
Right.
So Buffalo's favorite.
Buffalo's favorite. They're plus 2.5.
Okay. Oh, wow.
In the games in Baltimore?
Games in Baltimore.
Games in Baltimore.
Well, I'm going to take Baltimore at home.
Home
I'm going
dog.
to take them, getting a couple of points, and then I'll take it over, too. I think both those teams can score.
I agree with you.
I'm going to take the Raiders against the Clowns, and I'm going to take the under. For the Bills, I'm going to take.
Say it. Say it out loud so we can all hear it.
I know. I'm going to take the Bills, and I'm going to take the over.
He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. You're right.
I'm going to take the Raiders and the under. Wait, what is it? 34? No.
37.
37. Oh, sorry. Over. Raiders and over. 37, though. Now, I'm going to take the under. Cleveland's defense is good. Massage is done. We'll never see the guy in Houston ever again. So I'm taking the Raiders and the under. And I'm taking the home dog Ratbirds. Sorry. And I'm taking the over.
Okay.
That's going to be a slugfest, in my opinion. I don't even know what the over-under is. I'm taking the over.
40. The over-under is 46.5.
Yeah, I think they're going to blow that out of the water. That's going to be 38, 36, or 35, something like that.
Okay. I got you first, didn't I, Mr. Scott?
Yeah, you got him with Mr. Massage.
Yeah.
He took Mr. Massage. Shocking. I didn't think.
Okay. So it's on you then, Dave.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Raiders in the under, and I'm going to take Buffalo in the over.
Home dog.
I love seeing these other AFC North teams lose, but I'll probably pay for it. But here we go.
I get why you guys are doing it. I'm not mad. I know why you guys are doing it. It makes sense.
Kool-Aid.
Exactly. Take a slug.
All right, guys. Once again, on Monday night, we have 2 games. Once again. So, Dave, the Titans, and this is a pick'em game. This is a 1+1. The Titans are giving the Miami Dolphins 1. The Miami Dolphins are -1, so they're giving the Titans 1. The Miami Dolphins are at home, and the over-under is 36.5. And remember, we have no Tua, and we don't know the last that I heard, Jimmy Garoppolo might be the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins in this game.
Is Garoppolo in there?
That's who supposedly that's who they're talking to. There hasn't been any official word yet, but
So
won't be
he's not on the team. He's not on the
Because they
team.
got that Boyle guy, and then they got Huntley that had played for the Ravens.
I think it's eventually going to be Tyler Huntley. So I think it's going to be. But
Yeah.
It's
That's
not
who
going
I
to be
thought,
Skyler.
Tyler Huntley or
It'll be Tyler.
Boyle. But regardless, I'm going to take Tennessee in the under in that game.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. That's the answer to this question, no matter who they're for.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Titans, and I'm going to take the under. Mr. Scott?
Yeah, I guess I have to follow that cab. I mean, how can you get Garoppolo is not even on the team? I mean, how can you take somebody who's not even on the team?
But they're considering the starting
You pull
quarterback.
somebody out of the audience, it's like you had a circus, a high wire guy. Come on, you can get up there and do it.
Sure.
Okay, and Mr. Scott, I'm going to give you this one and your final thoughts. Monday night, the Seahawks plus 3.5 at the Lions. The over-under is 46.5.
Well, I'm going to have to just, I'm going to stick with Geno Smith. I really do. I think he's done a great job, and I think they'll do it, and I think it'll be over. I mean, I think Lions will score. Both teams will score, and be a very entertaining game. I mean, especially for me. I mean, I'm going to enjoy it. I know there's so many people going to enjoy it as much as I will, but that's neither here nor there for me. I could care less about that. So
Sure.
So over under.
He said
over.
over.
Yeah, over.
He said over.
Over. Okay.
Yeah, Seattle over. Yeah.
Okay. Give us your final thoughts there, Mr. Scott.
Well, it's just been a busy week. I guess the only thing I can just say about final thoughts is that the demise of the rap game, that I've tried to tell people about for years, the demise. But I think there's more to it, the behind the scenes, what's really going on with it. I think there's the things we see and the things we don't see. And so at this point, but I try to tell people, I've been lambasted about how I detest the rap game, how I just said that there's been such a demise. So it's crumbling, but I think there's a lot more to it, and I think it's going to be a tale I think there's going to be a lot more that's going to come out of this. It's going to be very interesting. I don't know. Maybe James, maybe you've been to a freak off. For all I know, maybe you've been. I don't know. I said they have them in California, so I don't know anything about it.
I did not see that coming. Okay. James King had a freak off.
Well,
Okay.
If you had caught me around 1980, 1983,
Maybe.
might be a different answer to this question. But at 77, my freaking days is pretty much over with. Most of my freaking days is memories now. But anyway, that's a whole nother show. But we are
Different podcast, man.
So let's see. Well,
we know what Demetrius's call on the Lions.
Yeah. So
is there any need to even ask?
No. So we're gonna go past Demetrius right now. We're gonna give Demetrius his final thoughts. But Dave, what's your take on this game? Seahawks at the Lions, getting 3.5. They're plus 3.5, and the over under is 46.5.
It's at home for Detroit, so I'm going to go with Detroit, but the under in this case.
Okay, I'm going to go with Detroit, but I'm going to go with the over.
Wasn't there another game to pick too?
There's two games on Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we picked the Titans and the Dolphins. That's the other game.
We did. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Did you went Tennessee and under, right, Demetrius, or no?
Yes, I did. Yeah. We talked about.
Or was it Miami and the over?
It was not Miami and the over. I'm certain of that, and I'm going over on the Lions.
No, I took Tennessee and the under also. Yeah. I'm taking Detroit, and I'm taking the over on this. Dave, did you give your pick here? You got the Lions, right?
Yeah, I'm taking the Lions in the under.
And the under. Okay. Final thoughts, Dave.
Yeah, I mentioned I was going to bring up baseball, and the Pirates recently released first baseman Rowdy Tellez, first baseman and relief pitcher Rowdy Tellez. But here's the thing: he needed 4 more plate appearances with 5 games to go for a bonus. And making this move saved the team $200,000. The general manager said the money played, quote, zero factor, unquote, in the decision. We all know better. And I had a buddy, the Pirates fans are kind of buzzing. Buddy of mine who's a huge Pittsburgh sports fan, he said, that is why I will not support them financially at all. And I mentioned, well, I've gone to a couple games, and he gave me a big thumbs down. He said, don't go to the games. They don't deserve, the owner doesn't deserve it. And then I'll compare it to the Steelers. In 2001, Dan Rooney had a verbal agreement with Will Wolford. He was a lineman.
Yep.
To give him a bonus. Well, it impacted the salary cap, and Pittsburgh had to self-report to the league. The NFL, and according to Bob Labriola, he said that the NFL informed Dan Rooney that if they paid Wolford the bonus, that the Steelers would be punished with the loss of a draft pick, a 3rd-round draft pick.
Holy crap.
But Rooney told the NFL that he had given the player his word, and that his word was more important to him than a draft pick. So they ate it. So if you look at the 2001 draft, you'll see for the Steelers, for the 3rd round, forfeited draft pick.
Wow.
In order to honor their players. So to me, my reaction to that, which owner would you want to play for? And I think that these owners have to, because we hear too many horror stories with some of these guys. But then some owners, hey, they do the right thing. And anyway, I just thought that was interesting. And Pirates fans are they're livid. I mean, and it's like $200,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Was Talese on the team all year?
Pretty much. He had like 400. I think he had 421 at bats, I think. And his bonus was based on getting 425. I'd have to go back and look, but it was something like that. And he just needed 4 at bats in order to qualify for the bonus. And they didn't even give him a chance. They just,
That's horrible.
took him off the roster.
All right, Demetrius, take us home. We know who you're taking. Now, I guess the only thing is whether it's the over or the under for you.
The over. I'm about to go Bill Carroll, so I'm going to apologize up front, because normally I come on and I celebrate somebody or I talk about somebody great who I don't think. No, tonight I'm venting, and I woke up yesterday morning, and I have a routine. I'm a creature of habit. I watch morning sports shows, but my rant today is about the overall degradation of sports journalism. I'm done with the 4-letter. I'm done. Like, fuck them. I'm done. So I look, they're not in the sports news reporting business anymore. They're just not. They haven't been for a while. They're about opinion shaping, right? They got 2 people sitting at a desk or 4 people in boxes trying to tell us how to feel. There's 4 pretty smart dudes on this screen right now. We know how we feel about our teams. Damn you telling me how to feel about a social issue. I'm a grown-ass man. I don't need you telling me, right? Report the news. That's all I need you to do. I miss Chris Mortensen, right? The Mort Report. I miss Peter Gammons. My team is in a playoff chase right now. Where the hell is Peter Gammons? That's who I miss. And instead, I see this. I don't want to badmouth this, man. I don't know. No, I see this clown using words like excoriate and bloviate, and he's yelling and screaming and shit. Nobody uses those words in real life. What are you doing? You're out here doing the dance for them, putting on cowboy hats and yelling stuff about I don't need that.
You're excoriating them, Demetrius.
But, okay, maybe I'm bloviating by excoriating him, but I've never heard anybody else use these words, right? So this is what I see. And maybe somewhere there are people who like watching him do that dance and act like a clown, which is cool. If he's cashing checks I'll never see. And if that's what it's about, great. If that's their demo, great. Then I can't watch the 4-letter anymore. But I know why I love sports. And if they're investing more in the E for entertainment than they are in the S for sports, I'm done with the 4-letter because sports makes me happy. And you guys heard how I talked about the Tigers at the beginning of this broadcast. There are stories, sports stories that inspire little kids to play baseball or watch games. And they don't all come out of New York or LA or Dallas. Why the hell is that show in the morning spending an hour talking about the 1 and 2 Cowboys? Right? Why? So I'm just divesting. I'm done with them. There are stories out there. Paul Skeens is a fantastic sports story. This is a great sports story. This kid is a rookie. He is doing modern era, unbelievable stuff. I mean, his ERA is below 2. He's got more than 150 strikeouts. Guess what? That doesn't happen. There are all-stars, 7-year all-stars who don't do that. This kid's a rookie and he's doing it. But most people don't know about it. But if he wore pinstripes, we'd know everything about this kid. We'd know everything about him. I disagree with Mr. Scott. What the Steelers are doing again is a phenomenal story. They stole Justin Fields for nothing. I'm not saying he's the best quarterback in the league. I'm saying they're 3-0. They figured out how to use him and the best. And again, Steelers doing Steelers shit. And if you rank all the backups, they got the best backup in the league. And they're paying him with Dave & Buster's tokens. It's organizational movements. The Steelers are without comparison. And they've been doing it for 50 years. The joke about 3 coaches, and you guys tell me the number. It's probably 50, right? How many?
Since 1969.
3 coaches. That's an organization that knows how to run itself, right? This Tiger story that has got me going crazy. This is once in 50 years. August 11th, they were 55 and 63, 10 and a half games out. As we sit tonight, they're in the playoffs, and their magic number is 3. And we get to close with the White Sox. They're going to make the playoffs after trading their second best pitcher and brought up kids who are just playing baseball because they love playing baseball and they're winning games. Thank you to Mr. Scott's twins who just drove off the cliff like Thelma and Louise, right? They helped us. But going 29-11 is not easy. This is historic. Once every 50-year shit, and nobody knows about it because the Tigers don't play in New York. But I know what Shohei Ohtani's dog had for breakfast. They literally said it on the show, right? You can't dedicate 5 minutes to talk about what the Tigers are doing. You can't put 10 minutes on Paul Skeens. Seriously? But so I'm done with that network. I think they anointed themselves the worldwide leader. And when you decide you're a leader, you are responsible for what the people that follow you do. And that industry, somewhere 10, 15 years ago, became about opinion shaping. I'm going to just put these people with their journalism degrees on the screen and they report the news and they're going to tell me how to think. I'm done with it. I'm done. It's shameful. It's kind of I don't like it because sports inspires people. I've told the story of being in the Palace of Auburn Hills in 1991, watching the Pistons play in Portland, winning the NBA championship, and I'm there with my good friend. I turn to my right, a man I haven't spoken to all night, happens to be a white guy, 6'7", 400 pounds. When the Pistons won on the last second shot, that man embraced me. It wasn't we won the title. This man embraced me like I was one of his kids, and he's jumping up and down holding me. And I didn't care because we won the championship. That's what sports does to people. There's a little kid that doesn't know who Paul Skeens is right now because he plays in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and not LA. That sucks. That sucks. I'm done with that. I am. I will get my news from you guys on Wednesday nights. I will scour the internet. I'm done with the 4-letter. That's it. That was the last thing I've watched. And somehow I went all day yesterday and all day today, and I haven't consumed a single minute of that network. And I am done. I'm done. And there's got to be a better way to do this. And I just don't think they care. They don't care. And I'm pissed. So I shouldn't be, but I am.
I came to that conclusion a few years ago, Demetrius.
It's
You
great.
know, when it became what was happening between Molly and Steve,
Right.
rather than reporting, sports. But hey, thank everybody for coming on tonight. We ran a little over, but glad to see you, Mr. Scott. I told everybody that you were coming. I knew you'd sneak in
Yes,
sooner
sir.
or later. Thanks to Jeffrey Fan as always, and hey, thanks to everyone, both for putting up his link, Dave his link, and I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. See you all next week.
Good luck in the playoffs, Dimitri. Good luck in baseball. Good, really good luck. I mean,
Appreciate
really.
it. Tell your guys we appreciate it.
See,
Thank you, guys.
see, I'm trying to
Godspeed, guys.
All right, Dave.
Take care.
All right. Have a good night.